Got it. Let's go.
Don't. Just don't.
It's Good evening. I'd like to call to order this special meeting of the Glendora City Council. All council members are present. Before we begin with our interviews of our applicants, I'd like to invite anyone that would like to make a public comment at this time. Do we have any speaker cards?
Thank you, Mayor. At this time, we received no requests to give public comment via the Zoom call or via speaker cards or email.
Okay. Hearing none, then I will close the public comment and bring it to our candidates for their interviews. And tonight, our first applicant is Mr. Mike Holmes. So if you'd like to make your way to the podium, sir. And Mr. Holmes, you are applying for the Water Commission. So welcome. If you could tell us a little bit about why you would like to serve on this commission.
I'm retired, so I have some extra time. My background for 30 plus years was in the public water utilities. And I think some of that expertise and some of the concerns and local concerns I have could be brought to bear here in a positive way for the city of Glendora. I'm familiar with the local basin and the powers and everybody that kind of how these things are run. And those types of complications, it can be complications. So excited to apply and to participate. I noticed that in the, it says the commission shall act in an advisory capacity of the city council on policy matters relating to the operation of the city's water system, excluding daily operations. Very clear what our role is, and I intend to, if appointed, to go by those guidelines. So.
Very good. Thank you. Mr. Friedendall.
He heard me. Thank you. We appreciate a man with your expertise and talent to be willing to volunteer for this, and it's commendable. I support it and thank you.
Thank you. And let me add, the most important thing is the safety and quality of the water supply, first and foremost, and then the availability. After that is pricing and everything else.
You can make water. We'll figure out the other problems.
I did that in chemistry class in high school, and we made one drop. So it's different. Yeah, but that's one of the big questions for the state of California is allocating those resources and how do you get residents, the good citizens of Glendora to conserve water and make it all work. So we got beautiful parks and beautiful landscaping that people want to maintain. So that's the threading that needle. So
Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
No, Mike, your reputation and your experience speaks for itself. I do have one question that I think needs to be asked. And that is, I know you're retired. You've been a longtime resident of Glendora. Is there a confidence level that you would be able to serve out the entire term of the position on the Water Commission?
5 years, I'm not sure. If we're looking to, and I appreciate it, and I'll answer honestly, we're going to probably be another 3.5 years.
Okay. Okay.
But I applied for a position at the school board, a vacant seat 4 years ago, and I said it's going to be here 2 years. So I'm still here. So
none of us know what the future holds.
that is it. We are interested in doing a missionary service for our church. And that was held up this past January. We asked to serve here locally, and we are excited to do it.
Okay. I appreciate it. That's all I had. Thank you.
Mr. Alawas.
Thank you, Mayor. Mike, thank you for all the services you've done for the city in the past, ad hoc committee and the like. I just have one question for you. Why should we not appoint you?
Oh, I'm sure there's other people that, sometimes it's good to have different opinions and the water people all stacked together in one place. If somebody comes from the outside, there's some different opinions, different views, and I respect that, totally respect that. So, but I think if I can hit the ground running, there's no curve for me except learning some of the nuances of the city of Glendora Water Division. So.
Great, thank you.
Mr. Thompson.
Mike, thank you for everything that you've done for us. Michael touched on it with the ad hoc group. And I just appreciate you being able to step up and be willing to, serve. The talent, the skill, the knowledge that you have is just great. So thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Councilman.
Anything else you'd like to add or share?
No, that's it. My resume, I think, was distributed, and if I have any questions about that, but I'm excited if appointed to participate and give something back to the city of Glendora. So,
Great. Thank you so much.
thank you.
Appreciate
Madam Mayor, I
it.
have a question for our city manager.
Yes.
Adam, how long can these applications be valid for?
Thank you, Madam Deputy City Clerk. Appreciate that.
Thanks,
2
Adam.
years.
2 years. Thank you.
All right, very good. That takes us on to our next applicant, Brian Faber. Is that correct? Am I saying it right? For Planning Commission. Welcome. Come up and share with us a little bit about why you are applying and what you feel you would bring to this position.
So I'll just kind of give you the summary of myself, right? Because I think who I am is really how it would relate to the position, right? So I've lived in Glendora since 2011. I live on Canoma Street over by Sutherland. I have two small children, 9 and 7-year-olds. They're both at Sutherland. And they're both playing soccer. I'm missing practice right now, but it's okay on that one. So as I coach both their teams, my wife stays at home, and we're just involved in the community in the area around here. So it makes it really nice. Currently, I work at Pomona College. I'm the director of project management. So I've been working in construction in that field for about 20 years now. I worked at, I'll get a little more detail. I worked at Lennar Homes as a developer with probably 25 different cities and planning commissions entitling communities. And then after that, I worked for a private construction management company, and then now Pomona College. So I just finished building our athletic center. So the big building that just moved in a few weeks ago. So it's been a huge relief over the last few years. I've been working on the project for almost 6 years. So it was nice to get people in and see people now working on it. So I love Glendora, want to help and be part of it. So I think that's just really about myself. And I think those things what would make me good at doing this. So.
Thank you. Mr. Alawas.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Brian, for coming this evening. I really appreciated the email that you sent to us this afternoon. It was well written. The only question that I have is, and you touched on it briefly on your letter to us, is balancing out your private life as far as building career, if you will, on the side, and then also on the other side of it, municipality type situation, working for the school. How would you balance that out when something came to you for development versus what the city needs and wants?
Yeah, it's hard, right? Like that's the whole reason why we're trying to do everything we do in life. So I think I do juggle those things, fairly well. I think the balance is, for me, I can tell you, the last 6 years has been a building that has been taking a lot of my time. So even just trying to think about or answer the question with that behind me now, I'm like, I could do anything at this point, right? I was over there doing everything to get these people moved in and students that occupied. So, it's just, you got to have a philosophy of what's important to you. And I think going back to like what I said in there, those are things important to me, all of them, from the family to living in Glendora. So, it's just that person and who you are, and you balance those things and make it so it's not necessarily an answer specifically. It's more of, this is who I am, and I'm good at balancing things, so I can make those things happen.
Have you been aware of a survey that we just finished, a community survey?
I have not.
So we just finished a community survey, and our city manager can talk about it a little further if you needed to. But basically, there's a tug of war between having keep the density low, but also provide for affordable housing. Which, how do you do?
Yeah.
Any opinion on that?
Yeah, we were talking about just briefly right before this. I mean, density and housing and that mix is difficult, right? Because the idea what we were talking about is you want to create more housing opportunities for people. Housing opportunities are very expensive right now. So even though you're creating it for lower income, you're creating that density down, it doesn't translate as well. So, you're trying to do your best for a community and environment, and what you got to look towards is how it fits in, I guess. You know, I don't want to, I'm not giving a specific answer because I don't know a specific issue what you're saying to that, but yeah, I think you just got to look at those.
You realize it's a bit of a paradox.
It is. So that's it's hard to answer, hard question to answer, right? So you got to just look at the specific situation that's brought to you as a commissioner if you're going to be involved in that, and then that's how you just got to answer it, right?
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah, thank
Any
you.
more questions?
Mr. Thompson.
Brian, thank you. What's up next at work? You've just done a major job. Is there something else that's going to be just as big? And I guess I'm asking that because of the meetings that you will have here. Now, those are at night.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to believe, but I was a young dad once.
Yep.
And Michael, you don't have to, you know, so there's a lot going on within your life, but
Yep.
is there anything big that's going to be built next?
Yeah, we have a plan, right? So I've been there 9 years now. We have a 15-year master plan that we worked through at the planning and council and everything within Claremont.
Yeah.
That plan includes our international center, which frankly started and speed bumped. We've made it through design development drawings, and we were somewhat ready to go again, but now there's funding issues and you know, who's the shepherd of the project. So and currently the market's rough. Construction is kind of horrible right now.
Yeah,
So
sure.
the plan with that right now is over the next, it's not going to start for at least 2 years.
Okay.
So we're 2 years of design before we get to that. We're also talking about, I'm just talking at work, right? We
Sure.
want to air condition our dorms. Like, it's amazing about Pomona College how expensive it is, but I don't know, like 20% of the dorms have AC, the rest of them nothing.
Really?
Yeah. So
Wow. And it gets hot out.
and it gets hot out there. So yeah, so we're gonna do a survey and start looking at some of that stuff. So there's my time of doing things is still busy and doing things, but it's not what it was. So which it'll make it a little nicer, gives it a little more balance,
Sure.
which the college does understand and helps with us, right? So makes it nice. So
Okay.
yeah, and you know, I got basketball season, but only one will play basketball, so I only have to
There-
coach one team, and
There you go.
otherwise it's just the normal juggling, right?
Yeah,
So
that's right.
yeah.
Well, thank you for stepping up.
Yep.
I appreciate it.
Thank
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Was a longtime basketball coach. I understand what you're going into
Yes.
as the season gets close.
Yes.
I guess one of the questions, you know, you made a comment, it's a relatively general comment that you want to keep our city looking good and moving forward.
Yeah.
Looking good is a relatively general statement.
Mhm.
Can you give me a little bit of an example of what you see the ideal future of Glendora looking like?
Sure. I guess the ideal, I mean, I just more relating to myself, right? I live in a neighborhood off Lone Hill and Canoma between Sutherland. I think our neighborhood's very nice. I like some of the neighborhoods as we move up, and to me, that's Glendora, right? Nice houses, nice schools, community or businesses that are thoughtfully placed within the city. And then, yeah, there's other stuff that happens too, right? You got multifamily homes that are developments that are built. You have, you know, just other areas that are built in. So I guess my outside looking in, because I don't follow the details as much as I like Glendora right now. I think it's, you know, pretty great place. That's why I chose to buy a house 10 years or 11 years ago. And we joke that we may move someday with our neighbors like a mile away, right? But they're never, you know, so I like the area. So I guess to me, it's just more about keeping it what it is right now, or what it has been the last 10, 11 years would be my
Yeah.
ideal.
Great, appreciate that. As you, it sounds like most of your background has been in commercial construction.
I work for Lennar Homes, so a home
Oh, okay.
builder for 8 years, and then I worked for a project management company 6 years, and a project management company for 8 years in commercial buildings, and then now the university. So commercial.
Okay, so you've been dealing with the planning process from the other side of the counter.
Yes, I mean, I work with Mark Carnahan. I think Mark's still here, right?
Yep,
As the
he's still
planner,
here.
yeah. So when he was at Claremont, I worked with him. often. So.
And so just briefly, can you share some of the frustrations that you've had over the years?
For me, I'm a detailed person. So my job is always easier when I know what I need to do with a planner or a project. So you tell me exactly what you need. I don't mind. Some people will say it's frustrating or crazy or why would you need that? As long as you tell me ahead of time, I can do it. So my frustrations are always the 11th hour. Oh, did you do this? Did you do that? And it's like, well, we've been working on this for 4 or 6 months. You didn't mention that one time. So let me make this thing happen. It would have been a lot easier if I would have known 2 months ago. No problem. But let me make that happen. So those are my frustrations on that side of the counter, is just not knowing ahead of time. So.
Okay. Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem.
Mr. Friedendahl.
Thank you, Brian, for coming in, and certainly I appreciate your broad spectrum of vision, and the thought you just shared is a perfect one of, hey, give us that process. We'll punch the buttons. We'll do those things. Just tell us. And we are transitioning to be much better at that than we were a few years ago. So that's encouraging.
Yep.
And your vision, you work in a professional life in a community that's tough to get things through. They have lots of extra steps.
Yes.
I kind of applaud that in a way, because I look at things and I'd be embarrassed to be an architect if square boxes with holes in it was my product. So what's your vision for the aesthetics of what we ought to be hoping for as we hit all those challenges that we're given for quantity and availability?
Well, I think within the city, and I think wherever, just in general, but for the city itself, is it's micro based within the larger aspect of things, right? So it's hard to say, this box with these windows is the best for Glendora, because if you're right next to the apartments right down here, that's a lot different than being maybe down the street to different buildings or closer to the homes or whatever area it is, right? So I think my vision is always looking at what's presented and what's in the area.
But does it fit the neighborhood maybe?
To
Is
fit
it-
the neighborhood,
Okay.
right?
I
We
like
we
that.
have a lot of that. At our school, we get a lot of architects. We hire, we usually hire really good architects, and architects always have a vision of what they want. And sometimes they just try to put those visions in your project because they've had that vision. When you dream about something that you thought's great for 20 years, you want to get it in your project. And sometimes they forget sight of what's in the neighborhood, and they're trying to get it in that project, and just got to remind them and look at the different areas.
Great.
So.
Thank you. No other questions.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments you have for us?
No, I appreciate everybody's time, and it was a good experience. So I appreciate it, and everything else you do for the city too.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have Mr. Kurt Keating. Welcome. If you'd like to share with us a little bit about why you're applying to the Planning Commission and what you think you would bring to that position.
Perfect. Well, first of all, good evening. Thank you for having me. It's nice to see you folks tonight. Mr. Raymond, how are you? Good. My wife and I have lived in Glendora for the last 7 years or so. We have 2 kids that go to school here as well. I retired from the city of Long Beach, where I spent about 26 years in community development work for a variety of different cities. But my last appointment was with the city of Long Beach, where I was doing planning and building and kind of overseeing their community development department. And now that I'm officially retired from city government, I actually kind of miss it a little bit. I know.
Second, yes.
Yeah, right. And so I miss it a little bit. And when I saw this opportunity come about, I thought, you know what, maybe this is something where some of my skill set could be utilized to help the community out a little bit more. Since I'll say retired from the city, a business partner and I went out and did some development work. So we were able to experience the kind of the other side of the counter as well. And I think so a combination of doing the commercial development work with my business partner and with my years of experience in city government, I think brings a really nice blend to the city. And if I could help support, the council's views as being a planning commissioner and help further the goals and things that are outlined in, the general plan and some of the developments that maybe are coming up in the future, I'd like to serve in that capacity.
Mr. Thompson.
Hey, Kurt, thanks for being here. So with all of those years of experience, name the one thing that if you were king for a day in planning, that you would either embellish or you would change.
It's hard to pin down one thing. I guess one of the things that I had always encouraged, like the planners that I worked with, was to have an open dialogue and good communication with people that came to the counter, and keep in perspective that you're there to balance the interest of what the council has laid forth within their municipal code and their development standards. And to not just have that no, but to look into that gray area and have that dialogue and try to work for solutions. Because it seemed like a lot of the things that came across my desk, especially in the latter years, there was a solution there, and staff just didn't have the confidence to work through that or even propose a solution when there was a viable solution on the table. So, I guess just an open line of communication, the ability to think outside the box when appropriate, and to have dialogue with the folks that are coming in and wanting to bring a project forward in your city. And, whether that's a large scale commercial development or it's just a homeowner, it's treating everybody in that same scope.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Mr. Friedel.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Kurt. I enjoy your breadth of commercial development opportunities and the customer service perspective. So that's really good. We have a lot of avenues for potential for commercial development. Do you see them as well, or where do you see those being in our community right now?
Yeah, well, and it's, I think it's a comprehensive approach, not just to this community, but to the entire region. You look at the major arterial corridors, Route 66 and Arrow. There's a lot of opportunities to look at developments that produce like a highest and best use there. I would just want to make sure that those are balanced out with competing properties and a larger scale plan for development of those areas. I also think on the single family end, you need to be aware of that too. And we have lovely residential communities, and trying to preserve the integrity of those communities as well. But, and balancing that off with property owners' rights and allowing them to develop as is prudent as well. So I think, but I think the big opportunities lie in our commercial corridors. We're trying to attract some better uses there. There seems like there's a lot of underutilized properties and whatnot. Multifamily is always at play, especially here in the state. And there's a lot of mandates, as you folks know, to fulfill those requirements. So trying to find projects that work for the city of Glendora and fall within the scope of the plan and the city's, longer term development horizon.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Alawas.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Kurt, for coming tonight. You have a great contrast in your background, and that's greatly appreciated. But with that, how would you deal with a conflict in your mind for building things and being a builder, and then also being on the city side of what the city needs and wants? And then I had asked the previous candidate if he had looked at the survey that we'd had about folks wanting to keep the density low, but also wanted some affordable housing. So how do you balance all that out with your background?
Well, I think it actually makes it fairly simple. I mean, with having a construction background, sometimes it allows you to come up with some creative solutions to how a design perhaps could actually complement the project, or maybe help the applicant navigate through that a little bit better by saying, hey, I've done some commercial development work. Have you guys thought of this? Would this be an option? Does it work with staff and staff's recommendations? So I think there's a way to balance that out. So I think having the depth of the bench of actually kind of both sides of seeing it from the city's perspective. And believe me, I totally recognize my role as a planning commissioner is to support your objectives and what the council has outlined. And I would do my best to do that, making solid findings based upon what the municipal code says and the city's general plan. So, but I think it's actually a strength having that level of depth. And then in regards to your question about wanting the density to remain low, I completely understand that. I think most folks that live in town, they have a home, they want to preserve it. They like the residential neighborhoods. That's why we're here. There are other requirements, though, that the city or a government has to function under. And some of those are the multifamily housing development. And that's where I talk about, finding the right location, the right type of project, and trying to get the right design aspects to achieve those goals as well.
How would you assess your assertiveness on the applicant for wanting to do a project and staff and their staff report of asking the right questions and pushing back when you believe that either side may be incorrect or maybe it's another path? Because that sometimes is the job of the planning commissioner, to ask the right questions and push back when appropriate.
Yeah, and that was one of the things, obviously, working in community development, had a really good relationship with my planning commissioners and my city council members. And, one of the things that I like to do is actually, get with staff prior to a planning commission meeting, read through those staff reports. And if there were areas or questions where, like, I felt maybe they were off, is, to do some homework before actually taking the dais and to say, hey, how did we come up with this, right? Like, let's roll this out and look at this project. So that way, when an applicant's before you, you've got a full understanding of the facts and the rules that you're playing with. Hopefully it's supported by great findings that staff has provided you, and then you make the best decision possible. Conversely, if there's an applicant who feels they're on the right, I'm completely open to listening to their side of it too, and then just making a judgment based on those facts, knowing ultimately that any decision's appealable. And if an applicant wants to come before, this body to make the ultimate decision, I fully understand that as well. But I would try my best to make an informed decision based upon the facts that I have from staff, my background, my construction experience, and all the research before actually, hearing the item.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thanks. Kurt, just curious, is there anything you could bring to us or any suggestions you have from working at a city like Long Beach, a much larger city, to what you see happening in the city of Glendora? We all understand, the state has created a tremendous amount of mandates that is a one size fits all. I look at, downtown San Francisco as having the same rules as rural El Centro, which makes no sense, but we have to figure out ways to work around that. Being in a city the size of Long Beach, is there anything that you think you could bring from that experience that'd be helpful here?
I spent my career, I ended my career with Long Beach, and I worked for 5 other cities during that. So whether that was a small city, starting in San Marino, all the way to Long Beach in size, I think I have a pretty good depth of knowledge about the functions of city government when it comes to planning. And I would certainly act as support or a source of information, and be willing to help staff or consider ideas or offer suggestions. I don't want to overstep my bounds because I don't really know exactly where that's at. But if there was something that came before me or a suggestion, I would hope that planning commissioners have a good enough relationship with city management or city staff to be able to have that dialogue and say, hey, have you folks thought about this? Or we did it this way and it worked pretty well, or this was the challenge that we saw on this project and we navigated it this way, or we put these kind of measures in place to help kind of mitigate some of those concerns. So I would certainly offer that and provide that support if I was selected to do so.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, more than welcome.
Thanks. Anything else that you wanted to add?
I don't have anything other than, thank you for the opportunity. It was, it's nice to chat with you folks. I appreciate everything you do for the city. And if I can help and serve, I'd be honored to do so.
Thank you so very much. Appreciate it.
More than welcome. Thank you for your time again.
Sure. Thank you. Is our next applicant joining us by Zoom?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
That's
very
Pat
good.
Cece.
Well, then we will welcome Pat Cece to our meeting. Welcome.
Hi there. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you for the
Thank you
opportunity to talk
for-
to you guys.
Yes, thank you for joining us. And if you could share a little bit about why you are applying to be part of the Water Commission and what you think you would bring to that position.
Sure. So I've been a resident of Glendora for about 5 years now, long family ties to the area. The long and short of it is I have just wanted to get involved in some way, somehow with the city. Back when you guys did the interviews a year or so ago, whatever it was, I was looking through the available positions, and the Water Commission basically was an opportunity to get involved. So I do not, and I'll just be very upfront with this, have any direct experience working with a water company or on any other water commissions. What I can bring to the table, again, is not only just the desire just to help the city in any way I can. I have a good mechanical aptitude. I keep abreast of water issues. In my line of work, I work with a lot of agricultural companies up in the Central Valley who are all affected by the state of the drought going through going through our state. I know that has nothing to do with the city of Glendora, totally different, but it is a water issue nonetheless. And so because of that, and because their business affects my business, I do keep abreast as best as I can on water issues, both locally and statewide, or at least as far as the Central Valley goes. So again, I just want to help out where I can. When Elvia called to say that there's more open positions, I'm here if I can help in any way that you guys need.
Great, thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
Pat, I asked the question of the earlier applicant. I am looking, you've lived here for 2.5 years. I guess I just am asking you to look into a crystal ball to make sure. Oh, okay. I
5
guess
years.
your application is older, so it was,
Yeah.
it has been. I apologize for that. So as far as your future plans, do you see any obstacles that might put you in a position that you would be able to fulfill the term that you're being asked to?
I mean, as far as living within the city, no. I jokingly tell my wife that we're gonna die here in this house, so to speak. I like living in Glendora. We have no plans to move. We're actually doing a big renovation of our backyard and so forth, and so we're pretty embedded here. No, we're set. Our daughter's getting ready to go off to college. Don't need a bigger house, nothing like that. As far as my job, I work in sales and I work from home most of the time. Sometimes I do have to travel, but that's usually planned in advance. I don't see anything changing with that. So to answer your question, no, I don't foresee anything coming up that would preclude me from working with the commission. I know you guys had a few people leave, so I'm sure that's why you're asking, I would imagine. But no, I don't see any issues that would come up, at least that I would be able to see right now.
Appreciate it. That's all I had.
Sure.
Mr. Alawat.
Thank you, Mayor. Hi, Pat. Thank you for coming.
Hi there. Thank you.
Virtually, that is.
Yes.
So looking over your application,
Mhm.
you don't have any real experience with water, and you have your HOA that you talk about and the like, but you're into purchasing, and with all the different issues facing municipalities and California in general with the drought and some of the restrictions and planning for the future, what do you think you can bring to the Water Commission with the background that you have?
Sure. Well, it's like I had said in the introduction, and because of the interview process that I went through 2 years ago, whatever it was, I know you guys had some interviewees at the time that had very, very good experience. I mean, nothing that I could match whatsoever. I don't have direct experience, but what I would bring, I think what I would bring first and foremost, for whatever it's worth, is just a desire to help out my city, just in any way that I can. I know that doesn't replace having actual experience. The experience that I do have would be more so just from the keeping up to date on what's going on within the state. With the drought conditions. As I mentioned, I'm not in purchasing anymore. I'm in a sales role, and I deal with agricultural companies in the Central Valley. So that because of that keeps me up to date on what's going on with drought conditions statewide. I do keep up on what's going on locally as well. Just having a familiarity with what's going on and staying abreast of what's going on. I offer that. Again, I don't have any direct actual water commission or water company experience, but if I can help in any way with what I do have and what I do know, I would be happy to.
So briefly, with what you do know about the water situation here in California, can you offer any suggestions on the path and direction we will go into the future so that when you turn that tap on, the water comes out?
Oh, sure. Yeah. It's kind of funny. I mean, it's funny you say that because it's kind of a scary prospect that, what if water didn't come out, right? One of the things I like what the city's doing. I don't know how effective it is, not having any inside information, and I'm so sorry for my dog.
He wants to apply too.
I think he does. He actually wants to leave my office here, but I don't want to get up to open the door, so he'll have to wait. As far as watering no more than 3 times a day and 5 minutes at a time and so forth. I think it's good to put that out there to give incentives to replace grass with more drought resistant options. I think those are all good. I don't have inside information on how effective those are and how many people are participating. What I would suggest, because I've seen it here in my own neighborhood, is more of a focus on where water is being wasted. What I mean by that is 2-3 years ago, there's a neighbor up the side street from me. It's a cul-de-sac up on a hill, watering his yard that has a sloped yard, and all of it was just draining right into the curb. So there was enough water coming down the street. I live on a corner, enough water coming down the street that it looked like it had been raining. I called the city and I said, hey, can you guys do something? This is just a gross waste. And they said, well, when is it happening again? I don't know, the next time he waters. Well, is it happening during business hours? Because we got to come see it during business hours. Well, sometimes he waters at night, or can I send you video? Oh, no, we can't do that. And I thought, well, that's a wasted opportunity to be able to say to, one of our residents, you got to do something different. You're wasting a ton of water. And I don't know if you want to call it bureaucracy or just that's just the way the rules are, but it was a wasted opportunity when there was, they were being alerted to just gross wastage. And I would like to see something different done with that, to where if a resident does say, hey, not to get anybody in trouble, but hey, here's a situation, kind of put a notice out there, say something, that we take that opportunity, because otherwise it just, I even told my wife, I said, yeah, I called the city about that, because even she had noticed it. And I said, well, it doesn't seem like they want to do anything about it. And so it went on. It went on for the longest time until the neighbor eventually fixed his sprinklers, but it was a long time after that. Anyway, that's one thing I can speak of, having direct experience, seeing that here in my neighborhood, that I would like and hope for something to be done about that.
Thank you, Pat.
You're welcome.
Mr. Thompson.
Hey, Pat, I thank you for stepping up again. And let me ask you this.
Sure.
You have a marketing sales background.
Yes.
Is there anything that you've seen that you could help us to help us all begin to pivot and understand better what we need to do to cut back and, save from a messaging standpoint, from a marketing standpoint?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's funny you say that or ask that. I actually brought this up the last time I was interviewed. When I drive through the village, I see banners across the way and so forth. And I see other signage more so on that side. I live on the other side of the hill off of Gladstone. I don't really see anything like that here. And if it is, it's not standing out to me. I'm a pretty detailed guy. And I don't recall seeing any kind of signage over here on this side of the hill. I would say we need to step that up and make it more just more obvious. It shouldn't take somebody driving through the downtown area or the village to be able to see that signage. the city encompasses a lot more area than that. And again, where I live here, I don't see anything like that. I see the mailers that you guys, send out. I look through them all the time. I don't know if, everybody else does. Maybe more postcard type mailers need to be mailed out so somebody doesn't have to open a nondescript looking envelope to say, oh, what is my city sending me? Make it a postcard. That's just something small, but more signage, just more obvious signage all throughout the city is something that has certainly caught my attention, or the lack of that signage has caught my attention. I would say that would be a good starting point. Make it obvious to people. So, again, I referenced the Central Valley. When I go up there to visit customers, you drive along the 5 freeway, drive along the 99. That's all you see up there is signage talking about, just in many different ways on different sides of the argument about the water situation up there. It's all over the place up there. I don't see it much at all around here.
Great. Thank you, Pat. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Mr. Friedel.
Thank you, Pat. Appreciate your interest. I see we're in the midst right now of an infrastructure survey to discover where 120-year-old water system's at and what it's doing. And hopefully we don't get scared to death with the answers. But part of the results of that is going to be a rate consideration and a survey to decide that are we charging enough? The bad news would be no, we have to maybe increase. Somehow we need to market that delivery and that answer to our residents. It's not going to be easy. Because I think everybody complains right now, my water bill's high. They don't live next door, but in the neighboring city is better than theirs. But we need to be careful how we do that. So your marketing expertise might help us with some ideas on tackling that hurdle. Yeah, delivering the bad news. Pardon?
Sure. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to deliver the bad news. I don't know if you're asking for.
Water's wonderful, isn't it?
No, it is. It is, but it's necessary, right? So I forgot which one had mentioned it earlier about, when you turn on the tap and there's nothing there, that's a scary prospect. It really is. And when I see, a lot of the news out there about, Lake Mead and all the other lakes that are just draining to historic lows, that's scary. And I don't think, I know that not everybody follows the news, follows current events to the level that others do, that I think I do. They may not know about that. They may hear about it. They may, whatever. Okay, water, sure, whatever. But maybe they don't really think about it. And if I had to make a suggestion right now without knowing anything else, I would say that message needs to be what the message is. We need to make serious cuts in water based on the historic drought conditions. We need to make serious changes to our normal activities, to our activities at home and so forth. And maybe you put that message out there, not as a scare tactic per se, but just as a very basic, simple fact of life. This is what we could be facing. We all need to do our part to avoid that. Something along those lines. And I would love to help out with that if I'm on the commission. But frankly, I think that's the message that needs to be sent, because not everybody's going to pay attention to current events or whatever it may be. And maybe a little more of a stern advisement might be in order to get attention on it. Because otherwise, hey, please cut back. Yeah, okay, whatever. I frankly, I don't think that works, at least not in my opinion.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much, Pat. Any other questions you have for us?
No, I've been through this once before, and again, whatever I could bring to the table, whatever that may be, if I'm selected, I'd be honored to help out and serve the city.
Great. Thank you so very much. Have
Thank
a
you.
good rest of the evening.
Thank you. Should I stay on, or will I find out later on about the decision?
Yeah, following the interviews, Pat, the council will be deliberating on appointments. So if you'd like to stay on, you can. If not, you'll
Sure.
be notified tomorrow via email.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you. All right, next we have Samuel Jones. Oh, on Zoom. Okay.
Hello,
Hello, welcome.
thank you.
If you would like to tell us why you are interested in being on the Planning Commission and what you think you would bring to that position, that would be great.
Well, my background is in real estate. I'm a lawyer, and also mainly it's just I think this is a way for me to participate in the community and to find some ways that I can maybe contribute something, provide some service, and honestly, it's an area I'd be interested in learning more about. Anyway, so nothing too fancy about it. Just I'd like to participate and be engaged.
All right, thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thanks, Samuel. I'm curious, your position as an attorney and specializing in real estate. I'm sure you're familiar with a lot of the things that we're dealing with locally with mandates from the state of California and different planning and zoning requirements that are being put in place. Do you have an opinion on the direction that we're going, or can you share anything from a legal aspect as far as ways that things that you might be able to bring to the table that might help us in making decisions on that?
Well, my understanding of I was just reading about the legislature just signed a couple laws into effect. Was it AB 2011 and SB 6? So it's based on those recent bits of legislation. I think that's a good direction. Investing money in development and helping to creating more housing obviously will help towards the housing issues in California. And then I believe SB 6 was the one that deals with helping to streamline the development and regulation process to make it easier for cities to use certain parts of maybe areas that are zoned for something commercial, maybe repurpose that for residential housing. So in my opinion, those are good things. But as far as, there's always definitely more that can be done. And as far as what other things that can be done, that's probably a bit more broader scope. And, I'd be thinking in terms of, changing, transitioning from maybe an overly car dependent society. Particularly Southern California is very, we need our cars to get most places. So I would think that'd be something that would need to be focused on. But again, that's not something that only the city of Glendora can do. But as far as from a legal perspective, I can't say necessarily. I'm not sure how much I could actually do in terms of as a lawyer, because I know that the city of Glendora already has an attorney who will address a lot of those issues. But my understanding of perhaps, say constitutional law in school and, which you talk about takings under the Constitution, and I can just provide some additional analysis and input in that regard. And yeah.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. Friedendall.
Thank you, Mayor. And thanks to you, Samuel, for your interest in doing something with the city. Looking at a balance, housing is important to us and affordability is attainable or not. That's a challenge, but economic development is a big opportunity for us. Do you see opportunities that we could change some of the things that we have here and increase that, maybe mixed use or other ideas?
For economic development, honestly, at the top of my head, I'm drawing a blank. I think, no, there's nothing I can really necessarily add in terms of economic development at the moment. But I think it's going well otherwise, from what I can tell.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Mr. Alawas.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Samuel, for coming this evening. How would you balance out your career versus city objectives?
Well, the job I have is a very good job in terms of my scheduling. So I can always schedule things around any sort of, meetings and what have you, and that would be required with this position.
Actually, I was talking about the objectives of our strategic planning for building
Oh, excuse
versus
me. I'm sorry.
versus your career in real estate attorney.
I'm sorry. Just one more time. Can you repeat the question, please?
The city has its own objectives for strategic planning for building. And we have our strategic planning, semi-annually. And then also with your career being a real estate attorney, how would you balance those two out in your thought process, sitting up here on the dais?
Well, I don't think there necessarily would be any conflict. Well, the focus of litigation that I do usually tends to be, residential based litigation. And so people who buy, try to buy a piece of property and then it falls through for one reason or another, or, various disputes like that. As far as how the development with the planning and the goals of the city of Glendora goes, I don't think there would necessarily be any conflict between those matters. So I don't think it should be a problem.
Thank you, Samuel. All the questions.
Mr. Thompson.
Thank you, sir, for taking your time to be here. Just kind of what is your thinking in terms of growth? Are you pro-growth, moderate growth, no growth, a density guy? Could you just kind of speak into some of that, please?
Sure. Well, I'd say generally I'm pro-growth. I mean, it's not without its challenges, obviously, but I think generally more when you have a lot more people in an area, I think that tends to just multiply opportunities for jobs, for various other economic benefits. And then, as I said, obviously there's challenges that can come with that. Having a lot of people trying to move into the same area, and if there's not enough housing, that definitely creates a problem. But I think, again, there's various ways that can be, addressed. Part of that, in my opinion, is, again, as I mentioned earlier, maybe how, transitioning to a more mixed use type of society, whereas when we're not so dependent on cars, when we could have certain areas of the city that are zoned for maybe just pedestrian, areas, and then places where you need to get by your car, you can have that, or ideally also there'd be a lot more, I think, public and developed public transportation as well. And so.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Any other questions that you have for us?
No, just thank you for having me back again. And if I get chosen, I'll be most appreciative, and we work very hard to do the best I could.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Okay.
All right, that is the end of our applicant interviews for tonight. So, Madam Deputy City Clerk, before I turn it over to you, I'll ask any questions, comments by council, any discussion? Okay. Yes.
So water, we have 2, planning, we have 1, nothing has changed.
Actually, yes, I do have an update. So
Oh, okay. Well, it's a good thing I asked it.
just the environment that we find ourselves in. But as of tonight, you can appoint the 2 that are vacant. We received word from the Water Commission liaison, Chisholm Ugalu, that Commissioner Armel is stepping down from the Water Commission. So there is a 3rd vacancy. However, because of government code, we cannot appoint, the council cannot appoint until November 4th. A notice has been sent, posted to the city website, on the marquee, and on our bulletin boards with deadline of November 1st, so that we can bring to council an update if we do receive any applications. There was a notification to the city clerk's office previously for someone who was interested after the expiration or the deadline from this last vacancy recruitment. And so we'll be reaching out to that person to see if they're going to be interested in applying, and then see who else applies over this next week and bring it back to council in the November meeting.
Great, thank you.
So
Mr.
this
Raymond?
evening, are we, then are we filling just 2 seats?
This evening would be for the 2 for
Correct.
water and 1 for planning.
We were going to say that there is a provision in which an emergency appointment can be made if there's lack of a quorum. They get temporarily appointed and then after the 10 days can be permanently appointed. In this specific case, the applicant that is resigning cited their job requirements as being too demanding in order to continue on the board in light of what's to come with the rate study and the infrastructure plan coming down the pipeline. So no pun intended there, but so to speak. So there is a provision which we can appoint a 3rd member, but currently the water board does not have a quorum and will need to cancel its upcoming meeting as a result.
Sorry to interrupt. but-
No, that's okay. So then it is 2 applicants for Water Commission, 2 vacancies and 1 vacancy on Planning Commission.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Okay, so at this point, for the Water Commission, we do have the 2 vacancies for water and 2 applicants, Mr. Holmes and Mr. CC, who have applied. Mr. Schlosser did notify the city clerk's office that he was pulling his application for consideration. And so in light of that, the council can decide to move and appoint those 2 without and forego the balloting process at this point, if you so choose.
Okay, I would make a motion that we fill those 2 slots with those 2 applicants.
I would like to second that.
Thank you. And so without any, if there is no other opposing voice to that, then we can appoint Mr. Holmes and Mr. CC to the Water Commission. Congratulations.
Okay, very good. Thank you. All right, then that takes us to the Planning Commission. We have 1 vacancy and we have 3 applicants.
3 applicants, correct. So at this time, I will now call for each council member to make 1 selection for the 1 remaining vacancy between Mr. Farber, Mr. Keating, and Mr. Jones, who have applied. And I'm going to do a roll call real quick. Councilmember Alawas.
This is a tough decision. We've got some great folks here. I hate being in this position, but we are here. I'll vote for Kurt.
Thank you. Councilmember Thompson,
Brian,
Councilmember Friedendahl.
Would one of them like to go to the water board?
When the applications are open, that
Yeah,
might be.
that's a possibility. Mr. Keating, please.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Boyer.
Good luck, Karen. We've got 3 great applicants with 3 different backgrounds. So my vote would be for Brian Faber.
And my vote would be for Brian.
Okay.
Okay, then the results show 3 votes for Mr. Farber and 2 for Mr. Keating. So Mr. Farber, you are appointed to the Planning Commission. Congratulations.
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 Faber.
Faber. There's no
Faber.
R.
Faber. Thank you.
All right, very good. Well, with that, then I will adjourn our special meeting and call to order our closed session meeting in 2 minutes. So you can have a 1 minute and 30-second recess.
If Mr. Cece is still on the call, if he's still listening, the sign on Gladstone was there from June through August about water. So it has since been moved. We've rotated them around the city. So.
take my place.
And also, I would tell Mr. CC that he doesn't have to worry about not having experience because 5 individuals sit here who have no government experience and come from different professions. So that's not a precursor.
I think his marketing experience will actually be good,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I think as we talk about.
Okay. Okay, I'd like to call to order this closed session meeting of the Glendora City Council. All members are present. Before I open the public comment on closed session, I will ask the city attorney to read the closed session into the record. Mr. Winder.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council, and any who may be joining us in person or virtually. Council has 4 items on its closed session agenda tonight. The first closed session agenda item is a discussion with the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees and the Glendora Management Association. This is to discuss ongoing labor negotiations pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6. We will meet in closed session to talk about property at the Dale Road property, whose assessor parcel number is printed in the closed session agenda and whose common street address is 1762 Dale Road. The authority to meet in closed session to talk about real property negotiations is Government Code Section 54956.8. City Council will also meet in closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D1 to confer with legal counsel regarding one matter of pending litigation to which the city is a party. The title of this litigation is Wanstrath versus Glendora, WCAB case number ADJ 143140000. And finally, the council will meet in closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D2 and E1 because there is a significant exposure to litigation, but which the city believes are not yet known to the putative plaintiff or plaintiffs, which facts and circumstances do not need to be disclosed on the record. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. With that, I will open public comment for anyone wishing to speak on any of the closed session items. Do we have any speaker cards?
We have no speaker cards, no one requesting via the Zoom meeting or via email.
Okay, with that, then I will close public comment and convene us into closed session at 6:03 PM. Good evening. We are returning from closed session, and I will ask our city attorney to report out from closed session. Mr. Winder.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council, and ladies and gentlemen who are joining us in person and virtually. Council had a very busy closed session today and covered 4 specific topics about which I can provide the following report. The city council met in closed session with its labor negotiators to discuss negotiations with the Glendora Management Association. There was a privileged and confidential briefing on proposals and counter proposals. The city council sought authorization to make certain counter responding proposals to the Glendora Management Association, and the city council unanimously authorized a negotiating position on behalf of the city. The city council received a brief status report on ongoing negotiations involving the acquisition of the property at 1762 Dale Road. The assessor parcel number for this property is printed in the closed session agenda. It was a brief staff report. No questions were asked or answered, and no reportable action was taken. City council also met in closed session to discuss one matter of pending litigation to which the city is a party. The title of the litigation is Wanstroth versus City of Glendora, WCAB case number ADJ 143140000. There was a privileged and confidential briefing by Workers' Compensation Litigation Council. A settlement proposal has been circulated between the parties, and the city council accepted that settlement proposal in principle, subject to execution of a comprehensive release agreement between the parties. And lastly, the city attorney's office and staff briefed the city council on facts and circumstances which could give rise to an exposure to litigation in one case. That was a privileged and confidential briefing. Questions were asked and answered. No reportable action was taken. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Winder. That takes us then to our regular meeting this evening. And we will begin that tonight with our invocation led by Wesley Hall of Foothill Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Bo Getzweiler. Welcome. If you could stand at the microphone, please, just for the benefit of those watching us.
Sorry, it's a rookie mistake.
That's okay.
Yeah. So my name is Wesley. I'm the Connections Minister at Foothill Church. I'm really excited to be here. I'm also a little nervous. Everything I know about City Council, I've learned from Parks and Rec, which I would imagine
This is a lot
tonight-
more fun than these meetings.
Yeah, that's what I assume. I'm assuming that the Twilight novels are not high on the agenda tonight. But yeah, thank you so much for your diligent efforts on behalf of this city and its citizenry. Thank you, all of you that are here tonight. And I'm going to lead us in a very short prayer. So Father, I just thank you for not only our city council, but for these folks that are here tonight. I just thank you for their concern, their compassion, and their desire to see the flourish of this city. I just pray tonight for wisdom from above, for a clarity of purpose. I ask that your peace would prevail over these proceedings, and that grace would be revealed in every moment. I also ask God for justice to be done. I just thank you for this city, and I thank you for its people, and we pray for its flourishing and its continued blessing. Amen.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Right hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, both of you. And there are nights when we could use a Leslie Snopes in here that would make it a little more entertaining. With that, that takes us to our student reports tonight from Glendora High School. Lavana Chen. Lavana, no.
I'm sorry, yet she literally texted a little bit ago that she was not feeling well.
Okay. Very good. Then from Charter Oak, Viviana Salazar. Welcome.
Hello, Mayor Davis and members of the Glendora City Council. Thank you again for this opportunity to share the amazing things that are happening at Charter Oak High School. On September 28th, Charter Oak High School's ASB hosted Charge It Up, which is our annual fall night rally. Students competed in games and cheered for their respective classes. On October 7th, we welcomed future Chargers and their families to our stadium to watch the varsity football game against Mariana High School, where they participated in pregame festivities. Charter Oak High School's drama's fall production, Mamma Mia, had shows on October 7th, the 8th, and the 13th through the 15th. The shows were highly successful, with all shows selling out. On October 10th through the 15th, Charter Oak High School celebrated Kindness Week by distributing kindness grams, dressing up for school spirit days, and it ended with a successful door decorating contest with great homeroom collaboration and participation. Last week, in anticipation for homecoming, we held Spirit Week, which allowed our students to show school pride by dressing up and participating in themed days. On Friday, October the 27th, Charter Oak High School was victorious at our homecoming football game against Bonita High School. We also held our homecoming dance this past Saturday at Central Park in Rancho Cucamonga. Yesterday, Charter Oak High School held their annual club food day, where clubs were able to sell concessions to raise money. And this Thursday is our last varsity football game against Alta Loma. In addition, it is also our senior night as well as our Halloween costume night. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, from Whitcomb High School, Josh Medell. Welcome, Josh.
Hi, thank you for having me here. As you know, the first quarter ended recently, and therefore students were awarded 2.5 credits per class, not counting credits that they earned in credit recovery, as those were added to transcripts separately. Students are currently working on the remaining credits during the second quarter. Mr. Letourneau met with the counseling staff last week to discuss potential students coming to Whitcomb. With the start of the new quarter last week, the meeting turned out 9 new students who have joined us at Whitcomb. We participated in the Great Shakeout last week, and everything went well. The students took this event very seriously, responded well, and were helpful with other programs on campus, both younger and older, in making sure that all students were where they needed to be. The leadership class has been working to put together some activities for our students as Red Ribbon Week approaches. Our counselor met with the representative from Aurora Charter Oak to discuss the possibility of doing a presentation on chemical dependency and the effects of drugs, specifically fentanyl. We are currently running our first annual pickleball tournament. We have 12 teams of 2 students per team participating in a double elimination tournament with gift cards and certificates to the winners. The students in the SAIL program are doing very well as they settle into their new home at Whitcomb. We have included them in all our activities, and it has been fun having them take part in everything. We will be holding our first of 3 principal honor roll breakfasts this Thursday in the Whitcomb cafeteria at 9:45. At this first breakfast, we'll be recognizing 25 students for their GPAs and 6 students who were selected over the first 3 months as students of the month. We hope to see you, as many of you as possible there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And from St. Lucie Priory, Olivia Risk, welcome.
Good evening, Madam Mayor Davis and esteemed City Council members. At St. Lucie's, the month of October began with Homecoming Spirit Week. Students enjoyed dressing up to each day's theme, which included America Monday, Sports Team Tuesday, Soccer Mom versus Barbecue Dad Wednesday, and Twin Thursday. On Friday, students wore green and gold to show support for our brother school, Damien, as they competed in the homecoming football game that night. They played hard and won, and students from our tri-school community celebrated at the homecoming dance the following evening. Freshman class officers were elected on October 11th and have already started planning fun events for their class. We are fortunate to have had dozens of college visit our campus and even provide seniors with an on-the-spot decision event hosted by Azusa Pacific University. As November 1st, the early action deadline approaches, our seniors have been working hard and submitting their applications with the help of Mr. Rakowski, our college counselor. Fall sports of volleyball, tennis, and golf recently ended their successful seasons, with the exception of our cross-country team, who's ranked third in our division and expected to move on to state preliminaries. We celebrated those athletes at the Fall Sports Rally on October 13th. Every grade brought their rally gear and dressed up in their assigned colors. Select students participated in games, and the rally concluded with each class doing their class cheer. Although the competition was tough, I am happy to report that my student class and I won. The 4 years of practice are already paying off. Winter sports, including basketball, soccer, and volleyball, are all gearing up for an incredible season ahead. This week is Red Ribbon Week on campus, another opportunity for us to celebrate life and further our commitment to living alcohol, drug, and violence-free lives. Yesterday, students wore red because our regents are ready to say no to drugs. Today was Career Day, reminding us of how bright our future is. We also had an assembly where they learned all about the history of St. Lucy's, including our 10 Benedictine hallmarks. Tomorrow, students will wear pajamas because we follow dreams and not drugs. And on Thursday, students will wear mismatched outfits, showing us how wacky drugs are. To conclude the week, students will dress up in pink, emphasizing how we're way too pretty for drugs. Bishop O'Connor will visit our campus on November 1st and preside at our All Saints Day Mass. We will also be celebrating the juniors as they receive their class rings and the life of Sister Monica Collins, who served as principal at our school for over 30 years. It will also be a shadow day, allowing all 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students to join. To register, we ask that you please visit our website. The 58th annual Coming Home Christmas Boutique will be on November 6th from 10 to 3 p.m. There will be fun for the whole family, including farmers market style shopping, live entertainment, holiday baskets, and even a workshop with Santa. All are invited, and we look forward to seeing you there. Thank you.
Thank you. And I want to know, was it the barbecue dads or the soccer moms that won?
I was a soccer mom, but the barbecue dads showed up this time. So as long as the food is good, I'm happy.
Very good. Thank you. All right, that takes us to reordering of or additions to the agenda. Anyone wish to make any additions or changes? All right, then that takes us to public comment. At this time, I will open the public comment time. If you are here and wish to speak, I invite you to fill out a speaker card. Those who are joining us on Zoom, we invite you to use the raise hand icon and you will be recognized. All right, tonight we will start with Mr. Paul Lopez.
Good, because it's almost my bedtime. I gotta get back on the road. Good evening, Mayor Davis and members of the City Council. I'm here to speak tonight on the joint meeting between City Council and the Glendora School Board, which I think is slated for November 3rd. Just to put out there, ask the why, maybe to stimulate some conversation. Only based on there being a possibility of 3 new school board members, one of which, I will be a new school board member, but there's going to be 2 seats for sure. And a district administration that there may be some turnover. So just a thought, just wanted to put it out there that maybe we rethink that until after the election. But I just wanted to come tonight and put that out there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Joe Cena.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Council, City Staff. My name is Joe Cena, President, CEO of the Glendora Chamber of Commerce, and thank you for allowing me to speak this evening. First off, I'd like to officially, on behalf of the Glendora Christmas Parade Committee, invite you as our City Council to be our VIP guests, to ride in a chariot of convertible vehicles, and to wave at your adoring fans out along the parade route on December 10th, starting at 9 a.m. in the village. So just want to put that out there officially to invite you all. I know Mr. Boyer is already on our committee, so he already knows this, but yeah, just want to invite you for that. Then the chamber's in the process of putting out a new printed directory for our business communities, can have different community information, economic development stuff. We work with the city on getting, that type of information, business directory lists, ads, and more. So if anyone's interested in that, just let me know. We're also going to have our annual holiday mixer December 1st at the Glendora Country Club. They've been doing a lot of work over there and they always decorate it very nice. So if you want to join us for that, we're going to have some games. We're just going to be, it's going to be fun. So if you want to join us for that, I didn't really want to talk about legislative stuff this time, just fun holiday things, There's an election coming up if you want to vote too. So let's see. I'll be back up here with Maggie and Bo for the proclamation because I'm on that board too. Then on personal stuff, I'm gonna take my chamber hat off. I'm gonna have my band dad thing because since my son's in the Glendora Tartan Band, let's talk band at council meeting. The Tartan Band is having their third competition this Saturday down in Anaheim. They're going to do a double parade in the morning, field show in the afternoon. So if anyone's in Anaheim, want to join us to see what it takes to move an entire band, two trailers, 4 more trucks, 3 buses, and a lot of equipment. So because the field isn't just instruments, it's electronics and a whole bunch of stuff. So yeah, plus the parade, bagpipes and everything. So that's this Saturday. They did have a field show 2 weeks ago during the rain in Roland. They got second place. Right after they came off the field, the whole thing was canceled because there was lightning right over the field. So, and we're on metal bleachers and stuff. So they canceled it, but we got to perform. We got second. So with that, chamber's right up the street. If anybody has questions, and have a wonderful rest of your evening.
Thank you, Joe. Our next speaker, Grace Rowe. I'm not sure if I'm saying your, whoa, okay. Yes, welcome.
Thanks, City Council. So I'm a resident over, I'm homeowner at the condos over at Glendora Station, and I've emailed Gary Poyer, so you will probably be aware of this, but I wanted to just bring attention of John, who is our lovely homeless man who's been on the corner of Ada and Glendora. So he's been camping there for going on a month now. And so this is an issue for me and a lot of the residents there because I feel unsafe and sorry, I've been really worried about this issue. So I'm gonna try not to cry. I don't feel like I can walk at night. So I've had to adjust my sense of safety when I go out. He camps there, he keeps his cot out, and he's there from the evening into basically throughout the day. He loiters in his wheelchair, he smokes weed in public, and I've contacted the police multiple times, and everyone's been really responsive. It's just he's not willing to go to a care. He's not willing to go to a shelter, but he's really disrupting the way that we feel in our community. There's a mom also around the corner. She lives right there, and her son won't go on walks with them. So we just don't really know what to do, and it's going on too long. The fact that I know his name, it just feels like he's been there a little too long, and I of course want him to get somewhere, but it just feels like nothing is moving. So I don't know, I propose maybe some suggestions if we can cut the bush, put something in that corner. I know there's going to be other potential issues once we have the gold line. So, I want to see something immediate, but I also want something that's long-term. So I apologize for being emotional. I'm going to take a deep breath. Thank you for hearing me out.
Thank you for coming tonight and sharing that with us. Okay, our next speaker, Mr. Dennis Willett.
Excuse me for the delay, a little trouble with the mechanical function on my oxygen. Let me begin regarding the last meeting we had here. I brought up the tree and the roots destroying my water line. The roots are massive, massive. I went out to show you. These roots are from the tree blocking my water meter and breaking my water line to my house. I have to have water every week. I have a nurse that comes to my house every week for infusion. Medically, I require water. She does, the nurse. The city manager, I think he misspoke or I didn't hear him correctly. Another root. I've got massive roots hitting my water line. They put an oak tree in front of 2 water meters, which is totally ridiculous, as you can understand. It breaks my water and it breaks the water meter. The city of Glendora personnel stated the tree needs to be removed, but the city manager will not remove the tree. I don't know why. He removed the trees across the street. Michael, he said beautification meeting. For whatever reason, I've asked every neighbor, did you ever get contacted by the city manager about a beautification, remove those 2 trees? Nobody got asked. We've had meetings with the citizens that live on that particular street. Michael, he told you about 150-page some sort of manual that tells all about removal of trees. They sent the people out there to trim the oak tree, and Michael, you won't believe it, they didn't have the manual. What happened, city manager? Why didn't you provide them with a manual so they know what they were doing? This oak tree is causing great danger. The oak tree is over on my side. The roots are all over on my side now, causing great damage. I need the tree removed, Michael. City manager will not listen. Michael, who installed those light covers over there on that light box right there? How come nobody ever answers that question? You remember that night that poor homeless lady was out here trying to charge her phone, freezing to death? I went to my car and got a thermos of coffee. She couldn't afford going to Starbucks like the city manager can afford. She has to go to the 99-cent store to get a can of sardines. She's not able to order sushi like he does. This is terrible. He's got a dumpster sitting out in front of his house for the past 2 weeks. Beautification, dumpster sitting there? Well, that's no problem. I'm the city manager. I can do what I want. Oh, that's what he's done. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. Yes, yes. And just like the library, they removed the paper towels. Whoa, that had to be done because they were clogging up the toilets for whatever reason.
Mr. Willett, your
Thank you
time
for
is
your
up.
time.
Thank you. Rena Saran? Oh,
Hi, how are you? I moved into the city in 2016, and it was brought to my attention probably Monday, right? We live on Barranca and La Crosse, and there's a new section that's going in. And I think they're proposing a street Rodriguez to be pushed through. And it concerns us because it's already a very busy street. We have St. Lucie coming through. And I think some of the, I think part of the plan, it's not planning to widen it. It's going to keep it as small as it is now, which is, it's already very busy. There's lots of accidents on there. There's a lot of workers on there. And so our concern, since we live on that street, it's going to go straight into our cul-de-sac and cause a lot of problems. Right now, we already have issues, like I said, with everything like that. So, I know a lot of people on our street are really concerned about this. And so we wanted to bring your attention that this also was an issue when Azusa, the citrus line came in and they stopped it from going through because you can't add, based on some of the laws that we saw, you can't add a street Rodriguez the way that they're trying to do on our street. So we're going to probably, it's just not a really good thing. And we want to do the same thing that the Azusa line did. So that's where we're at. I think we have a petition going on as well. So, okay.
Thank you. Audrey Teasdale.
So here's the petition that we're talking about. The action today that I'm bringing forward to you is we, the undersigned, are concerned citizens who urge the Glendora City Council to act now to stop the proposed Rodriguez Way connecting Barranca Avenue to La Colina development and to fully widen Barranca on the west side to align with Barranca south of Leodora. I am giving you a petition. It's got 45 signatures of people that live in the area that are impacted by this. Barranca Avenue is currently overburdened with traffic with daily counts close to 3,000 cars. Adding another road will exacerbate conditions and place pressure on Sierra Madre Barranca intersection. It currently operates at a level service F. It's the lowest possible traffic rating. For many of us, Barranca is our only option to access our streets. We are unable to safely enter and exit our streets with this heavy traffic. Barranca, north of Leodora to Sierra Madre, the area we're talking about, is classified as a substandard local street. It does not even meet the standard 36 feet in width. Barranca ownership is split with the city on the west, the LA County on the east. There was a similar interjurisdictional road in the now completed southern development, which was addressed by the connection from Citrus Avenue to Shorey Drive being built only for emergency vehicles because according to the Glendora general plan, prohibited are any new vehicle connections between Glendora residential streets and other jurisdictions. For example, LA County, which we are in, except for emergency exit. And also access that would encourage the use of any local roads as a major circulation route is also prohibited by the Glendora general plan. Within the Monrovia specific plan, it is stated it's worthy to note that the current City of Glendora general plan no longer allows the extension of streets or completion of street links between the City of Glendora and other jurisdictions. Additionally, California Government Code says actions approved by a city that are in conflict with the city's general plan are void. Also, the developer must fully widen the west side of Barranca to align with Collector Barranca south of Leodora. Presently, it's a substandard local road and it cannot handle the heavy traffic. It's hazardous conditions for vehicles and pedestrians. And I say that this is a win-win. The developer won't have to do this expensive road. The residents will not have increased traffic. And it's a win for the city because, well, the city will not have any violation of their general plan. Thank you. And here's the petition.
Thank you. Michael Barron.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Davis and City Council members. There's always challenges that you all have to face, clearly, but in general, many of us in the community are grateful for the things that you all do and for the many things that go unspoken that just we take for granted. So thank you for that. My request this evening is for the council members to vote to postpone the upcoming joint meeting between the City Council and the Board of Education. And there's a couple basic reasons. So the purpose of the meeting, I think, is to talk about shared facilities between the city and the school system. And this has been going on for, I'm told, about four years. So to have this meeting 5 days before the election, before the new school board is seated, seems to me, what's the purpose? There's going to be a new group of people that will interact with the city council in order to make important decisions for the school board and for the city of Glendora. So I then asked myself, okay, can there be any harm for postponing this meeting? And I have to ask myself, well, no, this has been going on for four years. So what's the harm of waiting a little bit more and having the new superintendent? If there are new school board members, they'll be able to participate in this very important process. So there seems to be some valid reasons to delay. But the interesting thing is that the structure of that meeting, while it does limit public comment to 3 minutes per person, it does not limit the amount of time that a school board member can take. And I'm particularly thinking of Zandra Borg being able to speak with a limited amount of time at this meeting and not being constrained to the topics that this meeting is purported to focus on, which is that sharing of joint facilities. So I would like to ask that the city council consider the pros and cons and then make a decision to, in my opinion, I'd like to see the board agree to delay this meeting until that new school board is seated, new superintendent is in place, and then have this process continue. So thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you. And I believe you have another speaker card. Okay. Mr. Kamal Stefan.
Whatever we may comment, you guys, you never take an action. And always you are negative. And I mean it. For the drought, I remember I spoke with Mr. David 2 or 3 months ago, where Glendora Park is completely dry. And I said, why Azusa, Covina, and San Dimas are watering every day? Why not we? He said, we are where they are having their waters from different sources. So I said, why? You mayor, why you didn't thought about it? You've been here in the city council 14 years, 16 years. Why you never thought to be like the other states? So I don't know what make you different than others. My question is, election is coming. Why don't step down and have a new people from the south, from the north? We like to see new faces, whether Asian, whether a black, whether Hispanic. Only you guys are controlling the city, and that is not fair. And I want to mention that again. You have to step down, and enough is enough. You've been here for a long time, and especially you, Mayor. How many years you've been here? 14 years, 16 years, is not enough? I'm asking you to step down and take another people to come and to run the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stefan. We have Olga Alfaro.
Hello, good evening. I'm living on in the neighborhood where is Presbyterian Hospital, and I addressed this issue already quite a few times to the city. While they are building bridge on Foothill and Grand, they close sometimes road, and the problem, the traffic, the people who coming down Grand to Foothill and they don't know that it's closed and there are not enough signs about it. Please don't argue that, but there are not enough. So the whole traffic goes through our neighborhood, and the problem is that all this traffic is speeding up on our neighborhood, and it's totally like only houses. We have tons of kids who are playing outside, who are like riding bikes, scooters, other stuff. And we constantly, every day have almost hit and run because city does not put enough signs from Route 66 until Foothill, that the Foothill and Grand, this intersection will be closed. And the whole problem is not the Golden Line management, because I work with them and they all point out at you that city does not approve extra signs for the traffic. So my request, this construction will go on for a few years. I guarantee you at some point, some kid will be hit on our street, in our neighborhood, and it will be your problem and your fault because you do not want to manage the traffic signs. So please consider about it, because this ongoing issue, and it's a really serious issue. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, we will check and see if there are any raised hands on Zoom.
Yes, if anybody that's attending via Zoom, if you would like to give a public comment at this point, please use the raise hand icon so that you could be acknowledged. Yeah, we do have one, Shelby Montevergen.
Okay, Shelby, go ahead.
If you can unmute yourself, please.
Yeah, hi. I just wanted to second what my neighbor at the Foothill Development. We live in the townhomes near Glendora and Ada, and by the post office, there is a homeless gentleman that's been there for over a month. And I know that I'm just adding to the voice of concern that we are having to like bypass when we go on walks in the evening, that area, because it doesn't feel safe anymore for our children to walk by, to go do basic errands to the post office. And this gentleman is having visitors daily, and he's camping outdoors. I'm concerned that when there's one person, then many will follow. And also, it's just, I feel like an influx of the homeless issue in Glendora is happening steadily. And we're kind of at that intersection of where the proposed Gold Line, that's our station, our future station. So I just wanted to add another voice of concern for this individual, and that he has outreach from our community. I know that I've also written to the local police department about this as well, to document that our concern for this person, and just to add another voice of support for Grace, because she's also right over the wall, and for him to be using pot out in the open, it's just it's unfortunate that that's what that's come to. So thank you for hearing my additional voice to this issue.
Thank you. Is there anyone else on Zoom wishing to speak tonight? No?
Sorry,
Okay,
no
we
other
have
question.
no other speaker cards. So with that, I will close public comment and bring it back to the council. Mr. Alawas.
Thank you, Mayor. Debbie, do you feel comfortable coming on up and addressing the homeless issue that two residents have brought up, Ms. Wow and Shelby?
Councilman, if you would, please, the police chief's here too to answer some of the enforcement related issues.
That's fine, both. But
In terms of services, though, it may not be a bad idea just to provide the overall services. If you have the point in time count numbers, talk about some of the concerns, and then we can talk about the DA issue if necessary as well, which also plays into this.
tried to spare you, Chief.
Well, I'll let Debbie kick it off from the humanitarian aspect, and then I can answer any enforcement questions afterwards.
Thank you both.
Okay, I would like to say that the gentleman at that corner has been addressed. He has been outreached 2 to 3 times a day, either from law enforcement or our Lakota outreach. And he is resistant, service resistant, but we are working on him, and he, trying to get him to go somewhere that is different than that corner. So, and also to get help. He needs some help. He has a lot of different issues. I'm not allowed to go into what his issues are, but he does have a lot of issues. So I would like to say with our point in time count, we went from 145 in 2020 to 64 in this last year. So we've reduced our point in time count by over 40 individuals, but that's just one day, in 1 year. But we are seeing our numbers lowered, but we are seeing some very service resistant people that have been outreached over and over. So, and anyone's welcome to call me, and I'll be happy to talk to them and discuss what we need to talk about.
Well, I know you're doing an amazing job, and thank you very much for all of that. But we also have the Lakota, and for the 8 beds that we have, plus we have other resources as well. Are we able to enforce any of the anti-camping laws because of that, since we have beds available?
Yes. So if someone is eligible for a bed, then we let the police department know, and then he can tell you what they
You're
can do.
cued. Go for it.
Serve me right up. I appreciate the opportunity to answer. And yes, this is a valid community concern. Obviously, homelessness is affecting every one of us. Even in my own community, a little further east, we have our own challenges. We're blessed that we have Debbie and her staff and partnership with Ellie Cada, which is our outreach contract services, to offer those things to individuals, even though those individuals are oftentimes service resistant, as the coined phrase is. But that does allow us to be in compliance with the Boise decision. So that's the Supreme Court decision, or the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. Thank you, sir. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals opinion about recognizing the offering of non-secular housing and other treatment options for homeless individuals. And so we embark on that adventure first. And while we are not successful most of the time beginning with the first interaction, time and time again, Ellie Cada comes out and engages with them. And then if there is an enforcement opportunity, the police department will step in and do so. With this individual, we know that he's erected some things tied to the stop sign and tents and blocked the sidewalk with his sleeping apparatus. And each time that we find him in that situation, there is an enforcement opportunity. It does take time. And most of the administrative citations are just that, an administrative citation, but it does allow us to seize and remove some items to thin down what he has and make sure that he isn't blocking the sidewalk or attaching things to any city structure and such. So every time we have an enforcement opportunity, we truly try to take advantage of it. And then you're all aware that we are a little hamstrung with the district attorney's office. A lot of the charges that we could file against a person who might be in violation for certain things like trespassing or blocking the sidewalk or some type of municipal code generally are not filed by the district attorney's office by way of the special directive. And so just creates a unique challenge. So we rely really heavily on Debbie and her team to really overdo it with the engagement and wear them down so that they can find the help they need. And these people, generally do need help and don't want to accept it for whatever reason. But at a certain point, generally we find that they do either accept the help or move to a community where they aren't offered so much help, so to speak.
Have we reached out to LA County Health and Humane Services for a mental evaluation?
Yeah, we can ask for a mental evaluation, but if a team comes out there and he denies it, there's nothing that can be done. So we could get like LA County Department of Mental Health, their team out here to evaluate him, but he has to accept the services.
Yeah.
At this point, are there any reassurances to the residents that the matter will be taken care of?
I would just add on that front, Debbie, I'll take that one.
Okay.
There are never assurances in dealing with issues like this. The city stays on top of it time and time again. Every time someone calls the police department or calls Debbie, we respond. It is a difficult situation, and I think there are a lot of us. I mean, our community survey showed this was the top issue in our community that we just finished in 2022. It was the top issue in 2019. The good news is 7% less residents think it's a top issue. However, it's still, we're investing almost $1 million a year with overtime patrols and services that we've added, emergency beds. We're talking about site acquisition for interim housing. We've invested a lot of time and effort adding additional staff, and it is difficult and it is time consuming. We have individuals in the city where we've spent more than 2,000 staff hours in addressing them during their tenure in the city. Some individuals that we talked to were born and raised here for whatever reason, ended up on the street for any number of reasons that we continue to deal with, some of which for more than 20 years. And it is a challenge, and definitely can appreciate. I was just sharing with another resident who spoke this evening, as a father of 2 small children who are in local schools here every day, you worry about things that could impact your, the health and safety and welfare of those children. And so, as a mom, I know it's your top concern to make sure you're safe and your children are safe. And we do our absolute best to try. It is a difficult situation, both legally and operationally. And so while we make assurances that we will always respond when calls come in, it is a slower process than anyone would like. And we're really hamstrung, quite frankly, by the county and state of California as well.
Thank you for that. Thank you, Debbie. Thank you, Chief.
If I could just clarify something, Matt, before you leave.
Yes, sir.
We talk about things that we can do. You mentioned that when we go out to try to enforce, what we're restricted to is issuing an administrative citation.
Yes.
Could you clarify just exactly what an administrative citation is?
It's a fine administered by the city to an individual for a violation of the municipal code. In this particular case, it would be a bulky ordinance or a bulky storage ordinance, which is meant to dissuade people from erecting temporary structures in parks or camping in certain places, blocking the sidewalk, those type of violations. It allows us a mechanical function to recognize it's a violation of municipal code and give them an opportunity to either dismantle what they have and free the area so that people may walk freely, or we will dismantle it for them and secure it safely in our storage yard.
And if they don't pay the fine and continue to do what they've been doing?
On the fourth and subsequent citation, it elevates to a misdemeanor status. And then I'll elect to hand it over to Mr. Weiner, but we'll handle that as a misdemeanor violation, which could be subject to arrest and or criminal prosecution.
And that arrest would probably result in what action by the district attorney's office?
That's to be determined, but likely not much, no.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be clear that we're all frustrated with this
Yes,
issue.
it's extremely frustrating.
Yeah.
And also to be clear, we don't process our own misdemeanors.
No, we don't. We don't. We're at the will of the district attorney's office. There's even more complicated issues that if we physically take custody of an individual for a misdemeanor violation of the municipal code, oftentimes these individuals have some physical or slight mental impairment, which would prohibit us from even retaining them in custody and transfer them to a courthouse. So county jail won't accept them. It just becomes a temporary relocation, citation, processing movement. It's an exercise in futility
But with the
oftentimes.
tools that we do have, they typically get results from the PD and from Debbie's office as well with the beds that we have and services we can provide.
Yes, it takes time to wear them down though. Yes, service resistance is a real thing. And relapse of whatever is their challenge in life, whether it be drug dependency, alcoholism, or undiagnosed or untreated mental illness, whether, not danger to themselves or others, but just generally having some struggles with mental illness. Finding them, accepting services after an enormous amount of engagement is a success story. But oftentimes those success stories are short-lived, and 2-3 months later, those individuals are back in our community again. And then we're again engaging with them, trying to offer them care and continuing, effort forward through engagement. It's a challenge. It's a complete challenge and a life cycle to it. So
I have to commend you, your office, and your officers. They do an amazing job when it comes to engaging with the homeless. I saw that firsthand last week when I was at the bank, and I walked right past a homeless person. He was out of his mind. Your PD rolled up right behind, and they handled with grace and dignity. And it was just amazing how they were calming the issue and rectified it in a short amount of time. So it was just amazing. So compliments to you and your staff.
appreciate that, sir.
And I would just also add to that, if you're out there in the community and you see something, you have questions, please say something.
Yeah.
Homelessness, at cityofglendora.org is the email, goes to multiple people, police department and community services, the city manager's office. We're able to address issues. There's a number to call that will answer. Anytime you can call the police department as well, if it's an emergency, and if it's not, then we'll respond accordingly. But just please keep in mind that if we don't know about it, please let us know and we can address issues as they come up.
Great. Thank you, Chief. Adam, could you or Mendel perhaps address the signage issue with the
Sure.
goal line?
Just had a conversation with the resident, as did the chief. Just sent an email, CC'd our representative and our public works director, that's Mendel for us, who sits on the board as well. So asked about any clarification. We're not aware of any signage, declining any additional signage. In fact, when the new configuration came out and the temporary closure was going to be put in place, we requested additional signage, as the speaker indicated, all the way down to Route 66. So this issue has come up before. We worked at the goal line, thought there was a solution for additional signage and larger signage. Part of the issue was trying to tie it down when we had wind and storm events. The signage was blowing into the roadway. So they requested from a safety standpoint that that be modified. However, we just reached out via email, but definitely traffic safety is our number one concern in that area.
When is Grand and Foothill going to start opening up?
So we originally had thought that we would have one lane in each direction by the 31st of October. They have subsequently sent a request to have it stay in the current configuration with some additional temporary closures through the 10th of November. That allows them to do some track realignment so there's not future closures. So when it opens up again, it's opened up permanently. As you may have seen when you've driven by, the facade is now off. The cast is there. So waiting on some infrastructure underground, the freight line has to be relocated one more time. And so temporary closures through the week before our holiday parade. So we will have additional openings at that point. So that the current configuration with some additional full closures through the 10th of November.
So the parade's not going to have to go through Arco?
You know, you should never say never. I think if we've learned this evening, but our full intent is to have people that are able to enjoy as closely as possible to the original route. And 2 council members have personally made that request as well as part of the planning. So that is the promises they've made so far.
Just to add, and I was going to report on this, but it's a timely thing now, that that bridge is going to be done by the end of next month. Now, knock on wood, there is really wood up here. But that is the time that I've been told, and I'm on that board, that the bridge will be done. You know, Adam's right. If you have driven by it, all of the false work is just about gone. And I will make sure that I engage on what was said here. But the good news is another 5 weeks, I guess, and that bridge should be done and hopefully back to some normalcy. So
All lanes will be open?
I don't want to say that, but we will be progressing quickly to get that done.
Great. Thanks, Mendel. Thanks, Adam. There's another topic 2 of the speakers brought up today, Paul Lopez and Michael Barron, I believe. You know, I'm all for communication and engaging the public and our counterparts in different areas, particularly the school. And I too want to lend my voice to asking the makers of the putting on the agenda for the joint school board meeting on November 3rd and ask that it be postponed to the first quarter of the year of 2023. I personally believe it's more of election interference to a degree. It could be perceived that through optics. And on top of that, you know, with the city council and with what we do when it comes close to election time, either 2 months, 3 months or so before, we refrain from doing anything that would have any lasting effects or longevity effects, and waiting for possibly a new council member or so to join that discussion. And I think that it would be ill-advised, and also would be from a humanitarian side for the school district, with everything they're going through with the an interim superintendent and some of the staff changes that are going on right now. They have a lot on their plate. We've been dealing with what the topic's going to be for as long as I've been on council here, the joint use agreements. And I believe that I think that a few months really won't make much of a difference. I know that staff has been working on, I think they have a draft agreement pretty much kind of there, just a matter of massaging it through. I don't believe that a couple, 2 or 3 months would make much of a difference. So I would respectfully ask that the 2 makers postpone this to the first quarter of 2023. Thank you, Mayor.
Mr. Thompson?
Madam Mayor, thank you. Just let me tag on to what I was just saying about goal line. The bridge on Route 66 is done. So do I hear a cheer on that one? Maybe. Well, I'll just clap then. So that is done. A perspective on that started in August of 21, and it's now done September of 22. I just said that Foothill should be done by the end of next month, And Lone Hill should be done by 2 of 23. That is a major bridge if you've been down there, and I know most of us have, but it is a significant bridge, structure, concrete, everything. And so that is the time frame that that's going to be done. Everything should be done by 1/4 of 25. So mark that down. The goal line has been on time just about on everything, and they are currently on time with, I think, everything that is being done. The budget is on time, so hopefully that's going to be done too. So that's just a bit of an update. Adam.
Just really quick on the Gold Line, the historic bridge on Route 66, the Gold Line approved the repainting of that bridge, which was outside the original scope. So that will be completed at some point in the future, but we received notice that the funding is allocated for that project.
Great, great. Monday, the 31st is a wonderful day for all of us kids. But unfortunately, there's a lot of creepy folks that are out there. And I just would urge every parent, grandparent, to watch your kids' candy. I think the chief could probably speak to this more than I could, but the fentanyl experience is consuming America. And recently, fentanyl has been made to look like candy, and it is not. It is a deadly thing. And I would just urge each of us to make sure that when our little ones come home, that we scrutinize that, because it would be a terrible thing for any child to ingest that and run the risk of death. And I hope that Monday is a wonderful day. It should be a fun day. The downtown is going to be crazy as always. And I can't wait to see what our mayor is going to dress up like, because she is one to celebrate that day in a very special way. But let's just make sure that we watch that. 11/8 is a special day too, when we can all vote. And there are significant things, city, county, state, and national. And I would hope that we exercise that right. People have died to give us that right. And so I hope that we all get out and express our own view and vote, and then live with whatever the people choose, and live in grace and live in peace. And but let's make sure that we get out there and actually vote. Lastly, I would echo what two of the speakers said, and Michael just said. I and our city manager can vouch for this. I have been a vocal person in terms of encouraging the school board and ourselves to look at ways that we can be efficient on many fronts. And grounds is obviously one, but I do think that wisdom would be good to employ to postpone this event. I support what the event is. I think that we do need to talk. We do need to work as a team. There are many things that we can do, but I do think that the timing, the optics could be changed, and so I would echo that. And hopefully maybe some change could be done. But with that, Madam Mayor, happy birthday on Monday, the 31st. And I just wanted to be the first one to say that. For 39, you look spectacular.
And I'm not afraid to admit my age, but thank you. Are you finished talking?
Yes, I'm done.
All right, Mr. Friedendahl.
Thank you, Mayor. Tagging on to a couple of things. The L line is coming, the Gold Line. We're going to learn a new name. It's the L line. The Foothill Grand opportunity that we look at, and I liken it. I appreciate the comments because I was the first one to go through there with it. I call a full-size vehicle and messed it up. And the guys watching said, "Oh, you were in that." Yeah, I said, "Uh-huh." Had some, I liken it to the sign says you're going to get wet after you stepped in the pond. Okay, it's a little too late. So have an opportunity. Nobody's mentioned, but we've gotten notice that there's going to be a full closure of that intersection starting on the 29th for a few days while they finish their handiwork. Maybe that closure time is a great time to revisit the signage for the subsequent 4 or 5 weeks. And when it gets reopened, it's easier to navigate. So I'll just throw that out as an opportunity. And I'm sure the horsepower here is listening and will encourage some direction that way. I too look forward to the election and remind us all that the opportunity to be a candidate, to take on a role, to sit in this wonderful chair, to swap chairs with the good one and the bad one, that is our opportunity, and we all have that opportunity. So the faces can change, but somebody has to come ask to be the changer. And if we don't, we could change the face, but if there are no interested candidates, it'll be an empty desk. So keep that in mind. We all get our opportunity, and I encourage you to consider it if you wish to do so. It's a great lesson. It has been. Let's see what else. Other than that, see you Halloween. And if you're concerned about wandering the streets after the city villaging thing on Halloween, remember on Saturday, the 29th, this coming Saturday at Pink Piner Park, I believe it's 5 to 9. Looking for confirmation.
5 to
in the
8.
back. 5 to 8. Thank you very much. A fabulous Halloween carnival. Come take advantage of it. Join us. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay, well, first I would like to address Grace's concern, and unfortunately she had to leave us, but nobody in this community should ever be in a position that you feel unsafe when you walk outside of your home. And that's not acceptable. And I just want to make sure that everybody understands that we are doing everything that can possibly be done to address some of these issues. It's as frustrating to us as it is to anyone else. And we have kids and grandkids in this community as well. So we'll continue to have communication with that particular community. But throughout the city of Glendora, we need to keep pushing back to address some of these issues. First off, it's not acceptable for somebody to not feel safe when they leave their home. But secondly, we need to be able to get people the help that they need. And unfortunately, we can't do it without their cooperation. And when people are in a position that they need help, typically they don't want to cooperate. So we will continue to have this conversation, and I feel for the people that live in that community. Second, I want to address the issue of the upcoming joint meeting between the council and the school board. What's interesting about this is I'm not quite sure how this meeting things got out of hand a little bit, but this conversation started with me. I want to say 2015 or 2016, when one of the school board members, Corey Ellenson, approached me and talked to me about the fact that, hey, do you have any idea how convoluted our agreements are with joint use between the school and the school district and the city? He probably didn't use the word convoluted. He's a lot better speaker than that, but it's one of those things. This is a conversation that's been going on for a long time. As you mentioned, the conversation started before Michael was on the council, started before David was on the council. We have a new city manager and a new city attorney. The school district has 2, maybe 3 school board members that were not there when this conversation started. They've already been through 1 superintendent and on an interim superintendent after that. So
Actually, two superintendents have been in the conversation and an
a-
interim.
and an interim. So, but the point is this is a long process. And to get a joint meeting together is when we first finally came to an agreement that we were going to have a joint meeting. I was the one that pushed to have this meeting as soon as possible. That conversation started a few months ago, and the first time we were able to get all 5 council members and all 5 school board members and staff together to agree on a date just happened to be November 3rd. So it's not like this has anything to do with the election, and the idea of postponing this, I strongly disagree with, because we don't know how long it's going to take to get all 5 members from both boards plus staff together again, because it's taken a long time to get to where we are. Not only we went through all of the changes that we went through a pandemic, we have been through a lot of things as we've been having this conversation. So this is a conversation that's going on between the city of Glendora and the Glendora Unified School District. It's not a conversation that's going on between council members and Glendora Unified board members. So we represent the people of the city of Glendora, as do they. And so we need to keep this conversation moving forward. We've gotten a lot closer recently. The pandemic really put everything on hold, but we're finally starting to get conversations to happen again. And I think doing anything to delay the conversation between the city of Glendora and the Glendora Unified School District to delay this even further is not the correct direction. So I support the decision to have it as soon as we possibly can. I am hoping that we will continue to have more meetings like this with whoever the next school board is. And my hope is that these meetings are not still taking place once I leave this seat here, but we've been dealing with this basically from the day I first got elected in 2015. And I sure hope it's done before I leave. I'm not sticking around as long as you have. So I'm not going to be here in 20 years. So anyway, that's the reason for that meeting. So I respect the various opinions. That's why we have this opportunity to talk. But there is a reason that we're having the meeting, and that just happens to be the date. And that's why I think it's important that we continue to move forward with that. And I look forward to many, many more meetings until we finally bring this thing to a head. So, okay, with that, let's talk about some other happier things. I want to give a shout out to Glendora Rotary and Glenkirk Church. A week ago Saturday, we got together with members of the Rotary, the Glenkirk Church, as well as a lot of community volunteers, and we packaged 30,000 meals for people in need over at Glenkirk last Saturday. We actually were able to do that in about 3 hours because we had so many people show up to volunteer. Like normal in Glendora, when you reach out and ask for help, we going into the event, we're going, oh my goodness, we hope people show up. And then we ended up having to add more tables and more stations because we had so many people show up to help. So thanks to everybody that showed up, and it just shows the type of people that live here in the city of Glendora. On another note, I want to give another shout out to a special Glendoran. I want to recognize our own Catherine Rudnick, who has been honored with a Lifetime Achievement Award at the Green Industry Hall of Fame. Wow. Now, first off, I don't know how you get a Lifetime Achievement Award when you're as young as Catherine, but you know, she was honored for this. She's done a lot of landscape work for the city of Glendora. I know she's also done work at Keck Hospital at USC. I tried to look it up to see where she's done some progress. I think I've heard her talk about doing work at the Huntington Library before, but it's always great when we got local residents that get honored like this, and they really get involved and they make a difference throughout the San Gabriel Valley of things that get done. So that's it. We will see you all at the Halloween Carnival and the Halloween Walk next week. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you. How exciting. She got that award.
Oh, wait, I do have one more thing. I
yes.
got one more thing. Hey, every year we get, I'm assuming the rest of you guys get it, we get requests from Los Angeles County Grand Jury asking for recommendations from council members of people that may want to serve on the LA County Civil Grand Jury. I've never thought about it before, but I thought to myself, you know what? I think it'd be good just to put it out there. I don't know if there's any residents of Glendora that may be interested in serving on the grand jury. It's a commitment for a year, and it is a full-time volunteer position. So you got to be committed if you want to do that. But if anybody has any interest in sitting on the LA County Civil Grand Jury, you can reach out to any of us, and we'll be happy to share the information with you. That's it. Thanks.
And just follow up on the meeting with the school board. I would agree with everything you have said. That meeting is not a meeting that's the end of the road. It's just on the road. And we will continue to have those conversations. And that night, the public's invited. We especially want sports teams and folks that use the fields to come and give your input. That's we're trying to get input on how the school and the city can use all the fields and what we will do going forward, because it's kind of like getting mom and dad in the room at the same time so that groups don't go to one entity and say, oh, we want these fees and we want this usage. And then you go to the other one. When we have both the city and the schools together, we can work out some of these agreements. So I think that it's part of that ongoing conversation. And so my hope is that the politicization of it will be not an ongoing topic. This Saturday, there is a free annual Veterans Forum that is taking place, put on by Congresswoman Grace Napolitano and Congresswoman Judy Tu. It is at the National Guard Armory on 1351 West Sierra Madre. Registrations at 8 a.m. It's from 8:30 to 2. And they have all types of folks from the Veterans Administration, various organizations there to help connect veterans to services. So I would invite anyone who could benefit from that. Also, Monday, I had the opportunity to go to the governor's office in Los Angeles and meet with former Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa, as he's been assigned to work on infrastructure for the state of California. And they're trying to meet and look at regional aspects of infrastructure money. And so hopefully all of us working together, we might be able to get a little bit more funding for some of those projects that Mr. Mateer likes to work on. Maybe that first and last mile, maybe some of our water structures, maybe library building and how that affects the community, just all of these great things. So we are trying to get our slice of the pie. So there's hopefully going to be a few more roundtables looking at how we could spend some of that once in a lifetime infrastructure money. So stand by as we continue to say, please give some to Glendora and see how we do with that. So with that, did you have a comment, sir?
Just really quickly, the Gold Line Order responded, said they'll be out tomorrow to do a site assessment to see what additional signage is needed now and with the full closures ahead. So thank you for coming tonight, and we'll see what the Gold Line says. And I'm sure if there's an issue, you'll let the police chief or myself know, and we'll go from there. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Mr. Winder, any other comments you have right now? All right, with that, it will take us to special items. Tonight, City Council will be issuing a proclamation in recognition of Friends of Libraries Week, October 23rd through the 29th. Here tonight to accept that, Joe Cena, Bo Gutzweiler, Maggie Lara, and I believe our other recipient, we got outbidded. Is that correct, sir?
Yeah, she had a date or something tonight. But,
Yes. So, and to read this fabulous proclamation is Mayor Pro Tem Boyer.
For those that don't know, that was my wife that, yeah. Okay, well, welcome tonight, guys. Well, let me read the proclamation dedicating Friends of Library Week. Whereas the Glendora Public Library Friends Foundation raises money that enriches the community, enables our library to move from good to great. providing additional resources for programming, much needed equipment, support for summer reading, and year-round discovery. And whereas the work of the foundation highlights the fact that our library is the cornerstone of the community, providing opportunities for all to engage in the joy of lifelong learning and connect with the thoughts and ideas of others from ages past to the present. And whereas the Friends Foundation understands the critical importance of a well-funded library and advocates to ensure that our library gets the resources it needs to provide a wide variety of services to all ages, whether on-site or online, including organized, equitable, enduring, and expert access to the world of ideas. And whereas the foundation's gift of their time and commitment to the library sets an example for all in how volunteerism leads to positive civic engagement and the betterment of our community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the Glendora City Council, do hereby proclaim October 23rd through 29th, 2022 as Friends of the Library Week. We encourage all residents to join with the Friends Foundation in enriching the community through library services and to express our community's gratitude for all the foundation does to make Glendora and its library even better. In witness that whereof, our mayor has hereunto set forth her hand and caused the seal of the city of Glendora to be affixed this 25th day of October, 2022. And with that, I'll present this to you, then ask you guys to say a few words.
Thank you.
Somebody got a camera? Where's our camera? Throw it at us, we walk over.
Thank you very much for the proclamation. Who writes those things? That was so well written. And I like the part that it says, for the betterment of the community. Because Janet Stone, we appreciate our library director, Janet Stone, and all that she does for the library. And she said today that it's not just the library, it's the city and the community and giving those opportunities. I want to thank Maggie, our director, Josina, and of course, Kathy Boyer couldn't be here tonight, but she's our current president. We've set a goal of raising $467,000 this year. And nothing would give us greater joy than to make that goal and see good things continue to happen in the library. Thank you.
I'll just add what began with a few volunteers and monthly book sales in 1964 has evolved into a foundation that was established back in 1994. So as we fast forward, you can look around the library and see some of the initiatives that the foundation and partnering with the library started, such as adult literacy, the computer center, just most recently, the library app. So we look forward to what we can do together with the community. We really want to present this to the volunteers that work tirelessly to support the library. One of the things about Glendora and what makes it so special is its commitment to each other and to the community at large. And that really speaks well of the community itself, but also reflects our volunteers. So we thank you for this recognition and look forward to the future. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate your efforts in helping to provide that education, enrichment, and cultural awareness for the community. All right, that takes us to public hearings, which we have none. And next is the consent calendar. Items 8 through 11 can be approved by one motion.
I'll move items 8 through 11 on the consent calendar.
Second, Madam Mayor, can I just make a statement on 11? That that job got done and we saved 75 grand. So I commend staff for the diligent work that they did and the oversight of that work. So thank you.
Thank you. That is a motion by Councilmember Alawas, a second by Councilmember Thompson. Yes, I'll go ahead and do a roll call vote. There we go.
Push
Is
yes
that
on the
better?
left.
Okay. Councilmember Alawas,
Yes.
Councilmember Friedendahl,
Yes.
Councilmember Thompson,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Boyer,
Yes.
and Mayor Davis.
Yes.
That passes 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that takes us to member agenda items. We have none. Next, unfinished business, item 12. Approve final conceptual plans for Mita Avenue and the Bus Plaza improvement, which is part of the strategic plan. Welcome, Mr. Stephen Mateer, to tell us all about it.
Great. Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, City Council. The item before you are to approve the conceptual plans for Mita Avenue and the Bus Plaza improvements, and also the environmental determination for the project. Next slide, please. I will go over the background of this effort, go through some of the concept plans, and then discuss next steps. Next slide. So from the outdoor dining restriction or the indoor dining restrictions during the COVID pandemic, the city operated a number of temporary improvements throughout the village, which have led to more permanent outdoor dining with parklets, as well as on Mita Avenue, which were closed for the adjoining restaurants. Based on the success and feedback and discussing with residents and stakeholders, the city looked at doing plaza concepts. So how do we make the closure permanent? How do we add new public space throughout the village? As part of that, the SGVCOG Slow Streets grant gave us benches, the 10 benches that you see out there in this picture. As recognizing that we were very forward thinking in our pandemic response, and that we are now looking towards making these more formal plazas. And at the same time, council in July directed staff to develop concept refinements for the plazas, leading to permanent improvements. Next slide. So what these improvements look like are largely what we've been showing the public and discussing with stakeholders. On the East Mita side, we see a distribution of games, putting greens, cornhole. Also here you see too is a fire pit, which we've been negotiating with Southern California Gas on the meter location, as well as cafe seating, some planters, additional bike capacity or additional bike racks, and then adjusting the planter location that you see. Next slide. And this is something that has not been shown, which was just developed, are these visual simulations of the plaza. So this gives you a sense of the scale and the position of the furniture. Council approved furniture purchases, which are shown here. And this is as if you're looking from Mita Avenue, west towards Glendora Avenue. So you'll see the putting green in the distance is the fire pit, and then the bike racks on the very end. And then you'll see we have landscaping and plants put through there. And you'll also notice we have the vertical element are shade sail and light posts that'll provide shade and lighting for the plazas. Next slide. On the west side, what we added here are picnic tables, additional benches, look like block seating, essentially, cornhole, and some additional games like Jenga, ping pong, and some bench seating throughout. Next slide. And this is as if you're looking from Glendora Avenue through Mita westbound. You'll see the cornhole games, the cube seating I mentioned, and the picnic tables, as well as the planters. Next slide. The bus plaza, again, also remained relatively unchanged. What you see are the cube frame for the stage backdrop, additional cafe seating and tables. What we heard from the businesses in the bus plaza specifically was a need for a directory map. So we developed a QR code so that as patrons are walking by, they can scan it and see what restaurants or what stores are available in the village. And also have rules, so similar to what you see in our parks, where we list the code of conduct for our public spaces. That'll also be posted on these spaces too. Next slide. And this is a visual simulation looking into the bus plaza. The idea here is that the balloons would be a really kind of an eye grab thing, so people aren't just walking by, really draws the attention in. You can see the stage set up in the background, as well as the cube seating. I'll note, and this is just my opinion, that colors are not the best for the balloons. And so we'll be looking at different options. In fact, today when I was researching them, there are cornucopia of colors, to use a big word. And so we could look at doing things for holidays, 4th of July, we can really do a lot of really fun things with the balloon color. So just options to consider. If there's colors that you would like us to stay away from, this is a great time for us to get that feedback. as well here. Next slide. So in terms of future considerations, we are working on the mural for the floor of the Mita Avenue plazas. One of the things we heard is that the mural that's on the side of the building at Bennett and Glendora Avenue is very popular. So we're looking at mimicking a citrus theme to tie into the heritage of Glendora in these plazas. As I noted, originally we were looking at shade sail on just the West Plaza, but given the price that we received on the bid and also the desire to have shade and kind of a visual continuity, we looked at adding shade sails on both plazas. We'll be bringing that for consideration next meeting on November 8th. And lastly, the fire pit location. Locating a fire pit on a street obviously can present some challenges, as well as the infrastructure status of the village. So it's been a bit of a process to find the right spot for that meter. We think we have a path forward. So that's something we'll be carrying forward with our design and bid process. Next slide, please. I apologize for the size of this font. There's a lot of steps that we're going through to get this done. So bringing the shade and light pole contract next meeting on the 8th. Concurrently, we'll be having building and public works doing the reviews of the plans, which will allow us to go to bid conservatively in December. I'm hoping to beat that, but we'll see how it goes with reviews. Looking to start construction in January with the shade poles being installed in mid-February. And the reason why there's that month delay that you see there, it takes about a month for the concrete to cure properly for the shade cells. So we're targeting a mid-March completion for the project. Next slide. And that we're asking for a categorical exemption for this project and to approve the conceptual plans for the plazas. And with that, I can take any questions the council has.
Thank you. Mr. Friedendall.
Thank you, Stephen. Great amenities and looks to be a lot of fun. Look forward to that. With the additional seating on West Mita, adjacent to a couple of restaurant tours, I'm sure we're going to work with them to utilize that and be in compliance with the impending outdoor dining program that you've been working on very well. Look forward to that as well. Are we currently making available the restrooms in the bus plaza, or are they still under review?
That's an excellent question. Adam, I'm not
My
sure
dog
the
and I
status
haven't
yet.
tried it out lately, so I can't answer that one. I don't know that answer, but
They were open during regular hours, closed after hours to avoid any hiding spot and or use of those. So if they're open, we'll make a note and check tomorrow just to make sure, but they should be open during regular
well, I'm
business
not
hours.
regular, so I wouldn't know, so that's okay.
There's that.
Yeah, well, going back, there you go. I can do that one. Anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman.
Okay, Mr. Alawas.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Stephen, for your report. The issue that I have with this, it looks industrial. It doesn't look fun. Your uprights that are designed on there are just plain post. Perhaps we can look at some fennels or something of that nature to decorate the uprights, to make them not so much in your face. Also, there was some artist conceptions of the balloons that you have in the bus plaza, which I really don't care for what is there right now. They had some other ones that are balloons that were actually looked like clouds to a degree, and they weren't uniform. That looked a little funner, if you will. I don't know if there's something we can look at that, or what the rest of the council looks like, or if they like that idea or not. But is there any way that we can make it less industrial? Even the furniture is industrial, and even our parklets are industrial, and it takes away some of the charm of our old town, downtown village.
Yeah, I think, we actually I was on the phone with a vendor for the poll. So we are looking at ways to, soften those up. As far as the rest of it, that we already ordered the furniture, what the intent was to match what we have out there now. I know there's obviously aesthetics is a personal taste. And so, what we're really striving for was furniture that can last out there and is as low maintenance as possible for city staff. So we'll look at ways that we can soften it to make
And
it
the
match
furniture
those.
is not bolted down, right? It's just in place.
That's correct. Yeah, especially with the cafe tables, the intent is that it's able to move it around. So if you have different size parties, you can grab tables.
And can you expand? We had a little bit of a briefing this morning about like the ping pong table and different things that are out there, that there's safety measures in place so that stuff doesn't walk away.
Oh, yeah, that's an excellent question. So one of the things we're looking at are these automated lockers. So I think I've seen them at, amusement parks. These are a little more advanced where they are app-based. And so you can put specific, game elements like a ping pong paddle or a putter even in a locker. It's tied to an app. So if someone checks it out, it's tied to an individual's account. We can see the usage. We can check the damage status of that product. If it needs to be replaced, we can also then go out and, seek, damages for damaged products.
And you alluded to, there's going to be some rules and regulations for the use of those areas. What's going to preclude someone from having a party there or, birthday party or something of that nature there? How would that be managed?
I think and I correct me if I'm wrong, Adam, but the current policy is the bid dictates the events that go on, like at the bus plaza, for example.
Even
So
for individuals that want to do something there?
that's my understanding. Again, that's.
Yeah, I mean, I would just add that there are restaurants associated with those areas. So if you have a party at a restaurant and kind of that's the intent is the community comes out and enjoys those areas. They are public spaces largely, which we've worked with the businesses to take some responsibility. One of the other caveats or one of the other options is to have a business responsible for the ping pong paddles and putters and so on and so forth, if that's the case, if that's the way we go. So what stops someone coming out, inviting all their friends out to engage in a restaurant? Well, that's what we hope happens. Now, if it's just people going and hanging out for hours on end, that's something we need to monitor as we go along. But the intent is to incentivize people to come down to the village, use the bike racks, don't use parking spaces. We've actually seen quite a few restaurants comment that they want more bike racks, that more people are coming down. So that is the entire intent of this. Now, a private event where people are paying to get in, yeah, absolutely not. So, but the intent is to incentivize use of the local businesses in that area.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Stephen.
Mr. Thompson.
Stephen, thank you. And I support this. So I just want to know up front. And I would echo what Michael said about the polls. If we could soften those up, that's a great word. Give them a little bit of character instead of just polls. That would be great. What is your best guess for how many that area can hold in terms of seating capacity? Do you have just,
Yeah, great
I'm not going to hold you to it, but do you have just a guesstimate?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the quantity of seating we ordered. I know we ordered, I think, actually, Lorena, do you mind going back to I can kind of give you a ballpark if I look at the picture.
Yeah. Just a ball. I'm just curious.
So for one more back, sorry, keep going back. So for here we add, we added 8 picnic tables. Those can probably sit, 6 people comfortably. A couple of those are ADA accessible. So I don't know I think that may have shortened some of the benches. So I got 6 times 8 right now. I'm not going to do great with math. Right? Thank you. See? I was never a good math person. So I'm a planner, not an engineer.
Yeah. Sure. I get that.
And the cafe tables, we had 2 per table, and I think we ordered about 40. So that's about 80 people, again, spread throughout the plazas. The benches that we have out there right now, if you're really cozy with someone, you can about 3 people on those. So I'd say all in probably, 50 to 60 easy.
Okay. Good. Yeah. I was going to ask, so it doesn't sound like that we can rent out a space like we do. I think by Minor Park, if you want a birthday party, you can rent like a section. Well, yeah, but
I mean, I think as we go forward and council sets the final policy on use of the areas and working with the bid, that there are a number of options that are probably available, but our chief concern right now is making sure individuals come out, families come out, people of all ages can find something to do.
Yeah. Okay. Colors, the only ones that I would oppose is powder blue and gold.
The Damian Spartan in me is a little offended by the gold part, but that's okay. I'll let that one go.
LA,
yeah, that's true. I was,
which I found out this morning at 8 o'clock that you were a UCLA guy. So,
oh yeah.
Since you asked,
I'm back on probation after this. I don't know.
That's why he's not good at math.
Yes. I would have. Hey, there you go.
And
But
yet
you
hired me,
noticed that
so,
the
you know.
former bean counter banker over here didn't come up with the 48 either. So don't look like.
Speaking- So if there's any colors, the powder blue and gold, nix that.
Okay.
But, and Moises, do I get like a eight clap on that? Just the final. Madam Mayor, that's it.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem.
Well, the only question I have, you partially answered with the, because in the renderings, there was, it looked like carpet or something on the streets. So we're looking into some sort of a surface covering or?
Yeah, it's a high quality paint. It's not quite thermoplastic, which would be like the ultimate material you could use, but there is limitations with pattern. So the next best is, and I'm going to forget the exact name, that Brilli, the company that did the mural, they gave us different options for paint quality. The one that we're selecting, or that I'd like to select, is one that can stand up to the foot traffic, is hopefully easy to clean, and can be not have to be maintained every year. It's something to be out there for multiple years without needing to be retouched.
Okay. And then something I thought about just the other day when I was actually having lunch in the area, the ADA requirements because of the curvature of the street, has that been considered? Are we going to be addressing any issues because of that?
Oh, that's an excellent question. Actually, Lorena, can you go back to the East Plaza? That's probably the best example of that. One more. So if you see those blue ramps right there, we'll be adding in ramps to the plaza there. The other thing that we'll be adding in is, or we'll be adjusting, is the current traffic barriers that we have right now, the planters. We'll be pushing those out to the other side of the crosswalk. So that will allow someone using the current ramp there right now to enter into the plazas. So really we'll have access from both sides now into the plazas.
Okay, I guess, and I'm just imagining that somebody in a wheelchair or something, because of the curvature of the street, is there any requirements that we have to adjust that? Because, I don't know what's allowed, but that's what I was thinking about.
That's an excellent question. I will look into that to verify. I know typically the street, Mita's pretty flat. If we were on Glendora Avenue, we'd probably have that concern more. But let me double check with the designer on that. That's an excellent question.
Okay, that's the only question I have.
And my apologies for misunderstanding what you're asking.
No, it was just, when I was there and I was looking at it, I remember we have had some ADA issues in the village before.
Yeah.
And I can just imagine, especially Glendora Avenue, that's got a huge hump to it. But Mita, when I was looking at it, I'm going, I seem to remember that the grade had to be 2% or less. And I'm pretty sure it's greater than that. So I just don't know if we needed to address that or not. So, okay.
No, I am very excited about this. It's great. And one of the examples of how this could be used, last week I planned a church event where the adults were getting food and drinks on the patio of Stubborn Mule while kids were playing in the Mita area on the street. And so that's what I envision, that you actually have to, get your wallet out a little bit, go get some food and drinks at the restaurant, try to encourage that, business for the businesses, and then take advantage of the great entertainment that's there. So I think it's going to be even better that when we have all these other additions. So thank you very much. All right, if there are no further questions, then let's go ahead with this.
I'll move the item number 12.
I'll second.
Gary.
Thank you. That is a motion by Councilmember Alawas, a second by, I'm not sure who called it
Gary.
first. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Boyer. I will do a roll call vote. I'm sorry?
Yes.
Yes. Councilmember Alawas,
Yes.
Councilmember Friedendahl,
Yes.
Councilmember Thompson,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Boyer,
Yes.
and Mayor Davis.
Yes.
That passes 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Stephen. All right, that takes us to item 13, first reading and introduction of an ordinance amending section 2.04.010 of the Glendora Municipal Code to memorialize direction given by City Council at their September 27, 2022 meeting relating to the Glendora City Council regular meeting schedule. And our Is Ms. Sessman reporting on this
No,
or are you? Oh,
me.
Marina. Oh, okay.
So good evening, Mayor and City Council. Tonight, we are here to conduct first reading and introduction of an ordinance amending section 2.04.010 of the Glendora Municipal Code and consider a resolution to memorialize the direction given by City Council at the September 27, 2022 meeting relating to the Glendora City Council regularly scheduled meetings, plus request a change to closed session start time to allow flexibility. The proposed changes will amend the GMC code, which establishes the time and place for holding regular meetings. Currently, city council meetings are held the second and fourth Tuesday of each month, with closed session commencing at 6 p.m. when scheduled and general business session commencing at 7 p.m. Since 2016, City Council began conducting semi-annual reviews of the City Council regularly scheduled meetings that occur during the months of July, August, November, and December to determine if meetings should be canceled due to the winter holidays and/or summer session. At the September 27th meeting, City Council unanimously requested to be memorialized. The proposed ordinance before you tonight will amend the GMC 2.04.010, memorializing the tradition of going dark during the second meeting of July, November, December, and the first meeting in August. In addition, staff is requesting changing the start time of closed session from 6 p.m. to 5 p.m. This would allow staff flexibility when scheduling closed session items to commence as early as 5 p.m. or later if needed. Oops. So at this time, staff is recommending that the council, one, first reading and introduction of an ordinance entitled an ordinance amending section 2.04.010 of the Glendora Municipal Code relating to meetings of the Glendora City Council by reading in the title only and waiving further reading. Two, schedule the second reading of the ordinance for the November 8th City Council meeting. And three, adopt a City Council resolution changing the closed session to commence at 5 p.m. instead of 6 p.m. So this concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Cordova. All right, Mr. Freendahl, any questions?
No questions. Thank you, Lorena.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Actually, I need to read a little closer. I didn't catch the idea of moving the closed session from 6 to 5. Does that mean that our meetings would automatically start at 5?
It would provide us the flexibility to notice either at 5 or 6 for closed
Okay,
session.
so we could still notice at 6 if,
And a normal agenda would start at 7.
Correct.
okay.
yes.
Okay, no, apologize. I didn't
That's okay.
catch it when we were doing that or I'd asked before. That is it. Thank you.
Mhm. Mr. Thompson,
Everything's good. I support it. Good job.
Mr. Alawas,
I'm in support and I'll make a recommendation to move items 1, 2, and 3 on this item.
Thank you. That is a motion by Councilmember Alawas.
I'll second.
A second by Mayor Pro Tem Boyer. I'll do a roll call vote. Councilmember Alawas,
Yes.
Councilmember Friedendahl,
Yes.
Councilmember Thompson,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Boyer,
Yes.
and Mayor Davis.
yes.
That passes 5-0. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Lorena. All right, new business. We have none. That takes us to member and staff closing comments. Mr. Alawas.
Just want to wish everybody a happy Halloween and stay safe and have fun. Thank you.
Mr. Thompson,
Ditto that. Thank you.
Mr. Friedendahl,
No comments. Thank you.
Mr. Boyer.
Got one last piece of business. I would like to ask if I could get a second to putting on a future agenda discussion regarding our membership to the League of California Cities.
I'll second that.
It's just one of those things that I believe we spend about $18,000 a year in membership to the league. And I think it's important that we understand exactly what they do and that we're on the same page with their direction. So,
Or what they don't do.
or what they don't do. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Raymond.
Just a reminder, Pink Patch Spaghetti Eddies on Thursday night. Chief start time? 6. I think it's 5.
I think it's 5:30.
There you go. That's typical. So Come Hungry, an event close to my family, near and dear to our hearts. So we'll be there and look forward to seeing everyone else there as well.
Mr. Winder. Chief, anything additional? Ms. Sussman? Sam? John? Anything else about any of your upcoming activities, events? All right, Miss Janet? Marie? Moises? Okay, no staff additions. So with that, we are adjourned at 8:48.